was 18 years old when he was shot.
And I was approached by somebody and I was shot kind of randomly.
While it didn't happen at school, he tells TMJ4 he knows many others that have experienced close calls in the classroom.
That's why I was here, but not only from personal experience, but witnessing the impacts that it has on the people in my community.
According to statistics from the Milwaukee Police Department, there's been 8 people under the age of 18 killed as a result of gun violence this year. The commissioner of Major League Baseball putting a little pressure on state lawmakers to get a stadium funding deal in place for an American Family Field.
This is a gem of a ballpark.
MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred telling local reporters the stadium is in great shape, but it will take an additional investment from the state to keep it that way.
It's really important that the existing obligation under the lease be funded so that this great ballpark is maintained on a regular basis. It needs to be done in a timely way.
Governor Evers proposed a $290 million investment in his state budget. Legislative leaders say they're coming up with a different plan. Vince Vitrano, WTMJ News.
A 17-year-old has been charged in connection with the death of her 14-year-old sister after a rollover crash on I-794 in Cudahy. TMJ4 News reporting that Zania Spadaro was charged with one felony count of knowingly operating a motor vehicle without a valid license, causing death. Her 14-year-old sister Zamari was killed during the high-speed rollover crash on Sunday. The 17-year-old admitted to not having a driver's license. Her sister was not wearing a seatbelt during the accident. 2 other people in the crash sustained minor injuries. It's unlikely a deal on raising the debt ceiling is done before the start of next month. Lawmakers are heading home for D.C. for the long holiday weekend. CBS News' Nancy Cortez.
Speaker McCarthy and I have a very different view of who should bear the burden of additional efforts to get our fiscal house in order.
Republicans have been insisting on cuts in exchange for their votes to raise the nation's borrowing limit, which must happen within the week, or the Treasury Secretary says she'll start to run out of funds to pay the nation's bills. $25 billion worth of Social Security checks are scheduled to go out the door next Friday.
If a deal isn't reached by June 1st, the U.S. is at risk of defaulting on its debts. Sports, traffic, and weather coming up next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 12:03.
You know, it feels good when I find something really cool and get a great deal on it. But it feels even better when I know that the money I spend actually goes directly to helping others. That's why I shop at St. Vincent de Paul, because I always find the best bargains, and the money I spend stays in Milwaukee County to help fight hunger and eliminate poverty. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton in Greenfield and 23rd and Lincoln in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Smooth waters and clear horizons are ahead. The experienced team of advisors at Fox World Travel are ready to uncover your cruising style. Are you sailing off into a Caribbean sunset, taking in the European charm along riverways? Maybe an exotic expedition or Alaskan cruise are on your bucket list. We'll help you cruise like never before with Princess Cruise Lines, Avalon Waterways, Celebrity Cruises, and more. Visit foxworldtravel.com or call a Fox Cruise expert at 866-GO-FOX-GO.
Advent founder Dr. Madan Kandula.
If you were formerly breathing properly and we just plugged your nose up, you're not going to like it. You're not going to like it for a few minutes. You're not going to like it for an hour. You wouldn't stand it for a day. If we're talking weeks, you're going to be clawing at the walls to get that thing off. And if we're talking months to years to decades, many of our patients are basically walking around with clothespins on their nose and they don't know any difference. They've never experienced what life is supposed to be like when you breathe properly, and so for them, they feel like it's normal. It should be no surprise that many of the folks that we treat have downstream conditions. So if somebody's nose isn't working properly, if somebody's throat isn't working properly, they're not breathing properly. And when you don't breathe properly, it creates problems for your body.
When you breathe well, you live better. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment today.
Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
After taking 2 of 3 against the Astros in Milwaukee, the Brewers dropped the series opener against the Giants on Thursday night. They'll look to rebound tonight in Game 2 with Freddie Peralta on the mound. Coverage gets underway at 6:05 on WTMJ. In the NBA, it's the Heat and Celtics. Tomorrow night, Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. If the Heat win, they advance to the NBA Finals to take on the Denver Nuggets. And Block 1 of organized team activities for the Packers is in the books. Block 2 begins on May 30th. Greg Matzik, WTMJ Sports.
Taking a look at your roads, it is your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. Things are looking good. No major slowdowns or delays. No accidents reported. The only thing is in Racine County, there is a disabled vehicle on 4194 southbound, about a mile and a half beyond the ramp from County G. That is off on the left shoulder. That is the only thing to watch out for. Everything else is looking like a smooth ride.
Traffic is brought to you by the Harley-Davidson Museum. Head to the HD Museum campus Thursday, June 1st through Sunday, June 4th for the HD Factory Outlet Summer Sale on discontinued Harley-Davidson motor clothes, merchandise, and select officially licensed products.
Time for the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Sunny skies today, a high of 62 at the lake, 70 degrees inland. Tonight, mainly clear, a low of 46. Tomorrow's going to be mostly sunny and warmer, a high of 67. Sunday, beautiful sunshine, a high of 70 at the lake, up to 77 degrees inland. Monday, warm and sunny. It continues, a high of 72 at the lake, up to 80 inland. And Tuesday, again, mostly sunny, a high of 74. Right now in Madison, it is 69. In Green Bay, it's 66. In Waukesha, it's 66. And in Milwaukee, it is 57 degrees. I'm Wyatt Barmore-Pooley, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 12:07.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at The Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Come join the conversation on the Old National Bank talk and text line at 855-616-1620. Old National Bank. Get old. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome to the show. So very glad to have you with us. As I was saying earlier, this is, of course, whenever we go into the holiday weekends, this is Memorial Day, and it's sort of the unofficial start of the summer. It's also, the first Memorial Day originally was Decoration Day, and I believe it was 155 years ago. It's different. Some people confuse Veterans Day and Memorial Day. Memorial Day is technically the opportunity to remember people who made the ultimate sacrifice, who died in the service of our country in the military, whereas Veterans Day is a broader sort of remembrance for people who served in the military. But they do kind of merge together, and we, as we always do on this program, will have a special Memorial Day Remembrance segment where I think it's going to come up in the start of the 1 o'clock hour. That's sort of tentatively my plan. And a lot of fun stuff as we move through the program, but from some serious things as well. You know, the phrase is, the old cliche is, you know, the camel is trying to get its nose, you know, under the flap of the tent. And the idea is, once the camel gets its nose under the tent, pretty soon it starts, maneuvering around, and then it's got its head under the tent, and then it's got its neck under the tent, and next thing you know, the camel is in the tent. I mean, that's where that phrase comes from. You give somebody an inch, and they end up taking a mile. That's what is going on in Madison right now at the request of the city of Milwaukee and Milwaukee County. Now, we all know there's this discussion about shared revenue. And for people who haven't been following the story or might not completely understand what works with how shared revenue work, in Wisconsin, the state generates most of its tax revenue, not all, but much of its tax revenue from two sources. The state sales tax, which is 5%. So when you purchase things, 5% of taxable items, that goes to Madison. And, of course, there's also the state income tax that people pay, and that goes to Madison. What happens then is that Madison, the state, takes a portion of that money that they have received from the sales tax or the income tax, and they send it back to local municipalities. Hence, they are sharing the revenue that they have received. And that's where municipalities get a lot of their money. There are limits on the ability of local units of government to raise their own revenue. There's, for example, they have the property tax, and local governments get portions of the property tax. But there's limits as to how high they can raise the property tax. So local governments depend on shared revenue, money that comes back to the community from the state in order to meet their budgets and things like that. And the sharing of the amount of shared revenue that has been coming back to municipalities all across the state has been stagnant over the years. And this has created some problems, especially for some of those communities across the state which have spent and spent and spent money. For example, in Milwaukee, both Milwaukee County and the city of Milwaukee, they have pension obligations that are starting to come due. Years and years ago, because Milwaukee has its own pension plan, the county has its own pension plan, the city has its own pension plan. So what they did years and years ago is they offered pension incentives to their employees that were well above, for example, what a typical state employee was going to get. But that's okay, because if you do this 20 years ago and most of the people that are working are 20 years away from retirement, it's fine. You give them those benefits. You promise them the benefits in the future, but you don't have to come up with the money right away. Well, okay, that was 10, 20 years ago. Now it's time to, again, using a cliche, to pay the piper. So the pension costs are through the roof. You got to come up with this money to pay for the promises that you've made before. And there's been additional spending issues as well. So what happens is both the city and the county, they want more money back. Give us more shared revenue. And it is a particularly interesting time because right now, the state has a budget surplus of about $7 billion. How did they get the budget surplus? Well, they got the budget surplus because we paid too much in taxes. We paid more in taxes than government needs to operate. So there's two theories. Tony Evers' theory is essentially let's spend a lot of this money. A lot of the Republicans have a theory of, no, why don't we give it back to the people who overpaid it in the first place? The idea being, if you find out that you've overpaid, I don't know, on a bill, you get the utility bill and you estimate that the utility bill is going to be $100 a month, and it turns out your actual bill is only $60 a month. Well, you don't want the utility keeping that money. You want the utility to give you money back. So that's one of the disputes that is going on. So against this backdrop of shared revenue, and again, localities want more money coming back to them, and this budget surplus, you now have another factor that has gone in. As we've talked about on this program before, for years, county and city officials have been saying to Madison, let us impose our own sales tax and let us, so for example, if the state sales tax is 5%, in Milwaukee County, people have been saying, let us impose an extra 1% sales tax. And if we get that extra 1% sales tax, then our financial problems will go away. Let us have the ability to do that. And we will be willing to go to the public. We'll be willing to say, all right, let's have a referendum, binding referendum. So we go to the voters in Milwaukee County and we make the case as to why we need more money. And how can you oppose? How can you oppose if the voters say, hey, we're willing to increase the sales tax? All right, so that has been the premise for years. So now you have an agreement, at least you have the Republicans in the legislature, which have said, okay, we're going to work on this shared revenue thing. Communities have been complaining, and I think it's fair to say Milwaukee has been complaining the loudest. All right, fine, we'll work out a deal for shared revenue. And what we're willing to do is we're willing to allow the city of Milwaukee to increase its sales tax, to impose a 2% sales tax. This would be on top of the sales tax you pay in the county. It would be on top of what you pay for the state. But we'll let you impose that 2% sales tax. And the condition, though, is we want you to vote on it. That's the idea. We want to have the general electorate be able to vote. Well, now you've got leaders, number one, who are saying, well, wait a second. We don't want to have any vote. Yes, we know we said we wanted to vote beforehand, but what if the people say no? What will we do then? Well, that's an interesting question. But, a lot of times democracy does get messy. And, sometimes if people decide they don't want to raise the taxes, maybe that's a message to elected officials. But it is now getting even better because story in the local paper today talks about how Milwaukee County, all right, the original sales tax in Milwaukee County, the increase was going to be 0.375%. There's already a 0.5% sales tax in Milwaukee County. The original amount that was going to be, it would be increased, would be 0.375. Now, local officials are saying, Well, we know that that's what we've been talking about, but you know what? We don't think that that's enough. We want more. We want the ability to raise sales taxes even more, because right now the 0.5% sales tax generates about $96.3 million. If we only increase it at only 0.375, that only gives us an extra $75 million. We want more. And by the way, we still don't want to let the voters weigh in on that. In the city of Milwaukee, which wants to impose a sales tax of 2% on top of everything else, there are aldermen. Matter of fact, there's a video that's circulating about how at least one Milwaukee alderman is saying a 2% sales tax increase isn't enough. And we've got transportation costs, and we need to look at expanding the trolley. So we think that we should be able to increase the sales tax maybe an extra 1%. So maybe as much as a 3% Milwaukee-only sales tax on top of an extra 1% now from the county on top of the state. When you start adding these things up, and if you buy something in Milwaukee County, you're going to be pretty much looking at something in the neighborhood of a 9 to 10% sales tax increase if politicians get their way. So this is again, it's the camel's nose under the flap of the tent. We start off by saying we want to have a referendum, and okay, we'll have a 0.375% increase. Well, that's really not enough money. We need more. All right, we're going to have a 2% sales tax imposition in the city of Milwaukee. Well, no, that's really not enough. I think it needs to be at least 3%. Our number is 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. Let's tee this up. All right, should the city of Milwaukee and should Milwaukee County be allowed to impose pretty much any sales tax they want? If you've got elected officials in the Common Council that say, hey, we want to impose a 3% sales tax on top of all the other sales taxes, or members of the county board say, we want to impose an extra 1% sales tax on top of all the other sales taxes that there are, on top of the wheel tax, on top of all this other stuff, should they be allowed to do that? Is it the responsibility or the mission of the state legislature to try to rein in local officials when it comes to imposing taxes? 855-616-1620. Let's discuss.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Creative Planning presents Rethink Your Money with John Hagenson, Saturday afternoon at 1. At Creative Planning, we have an entire team working for you, including wealth advisors, CPAs, and attorneys, all working together, all in one place. Let Creative Planning show you a richer way to wealth. Visit creativeplanning.com. That's creativeplanning.com.
Now, about your house. Eric Brown is the president of Siding Unlimited, your contractor for new windows, roofing, siding, decks, and a whole lot more. He knows about your house. So what do you know, Eric?
New windows? Where do I begin? It seems everyone is staking claim that their window is the best. Let's talk about 4 characteristics of windows that are important: energy efficiency, aesthetics, operation, and installation. If their window is the best, these qualities should stand out. Living in Wisconsin, energy efficiency is important for your comfort and your wallet. While many companies want to focus on glass ratings, we can't forget that air infiltration is just as important. You can have the best glass in the world. It is useless if wind is whistling around it and you're losing money out the window. The best window should look amazing. When comparing and contrasting, so often the less attractive windows have wider, bulky frames and hardware that looks like an afterthought. If you are seeking the best, then narrow, sleek frames that look beautiful as well as maximize the glass space will give you a gorgeous window that allows more natural light into your home. How easy do your windows operate? Are they tough to clean or even impossible to open? How they operate is very important for the best windows. The best windows are easy to clean and easy to open. True professional installation will assure your windows perform and operate fantastic. The best product in the world will not perform if it is installed wrong. Siding Unlimited's showroom is open so you can see, touch, feel, investigate your window choice. We offer the best windows and can prove it. Stop on by. Siding Unlimited is an easy place to begin.
Our local and family-owned Siding Unlimited is Pella Windows Platinum Elite Certified Contractor of the Year in the whole USA. And for 3 years running. Get the best windows installed by the best installer. Go first to sidingunlimited.com.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. It's already starting because, first of all, we had this, okay, we're going to have a shared revenue deal. More money's going to come back to Milwaukee County and the city, and that's going to bail everybody out of the pension problems and things like that, and it's going to avoid layoffs of cops and all that. Okay, that's all well and good. The devil, of course, is in the details. The first hang-up is, all right, after years of saying, let us have a referendum, now the people that are pushing it are saying, well, we don't want to have a referendum. Just let us vote on it. But now what's going on is the people in the county and the city are now saying, well, these amounts that we agreed on, we don't think that they're enough. So as long as we're going to be able to create or raise sales taxes, let us do what we want. Let's raise the Milwaukee sales tax. Instead of 2%, let's put a 3% sales tax on. Milwaukee County, instead of 0.375%, let's make it 0.5. Let's make it 1%, whatever. Let us raise the taxes as we see fit. 855-616-1620. What do you think about that? And, of course, if the legislature does that, I mean, the argument is we need more shared revenue because, we have all these debts and stuff. Well, I guess the problem is if you just give the city or the county money, if we accept that part of the reason they're in the problem is because they have spent like drunken sailors, all right, are you just simply saying, okay, we're giving you more money to allow you to continue to spend like drunken sailors? 855-616-1620. Let's start with Jeff in Milwaukee. Jeff, your neck of the woods. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jeff. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Look, I don't have any problem with the state legislatures saying to local communities, we have to approve any sales tax raise that you want to impose or put it to a public vote as long as the legislature uses the same standard for themselves, so that anytime they're going to raise their salary or raise income taxes or property taxes or spend fees or anything else, they put that to a public referendum as well.
And let the voters decide.
If it's good enough for public officials, then it ought to be good enough for the state legislature.
Well, thanks for calling, Jeff. That is an interesting theory as to, every time you have a budget, should you have to vote if you're going to have a tax increase? I'd have to think that one through. But you know what? I guess I'm open to that concept. Now, the problem, the reason the state legislature claims that they have a right to control or put limits on how spending goes is because, they are sharing revenue. There is a portion of money that is, that is the state that is going back to municipalities, not just Milwaukee, but all over the state. So the idea is that they should have some controls on that. And a number of our texters are making that concern, raising that concern, saying, hey, if we just allow Milwaukee to keep raising sales taxes, if we, a county and the city, if we keep allowing them to do that, there's no pressure at all to stop what has been a lot of the wasteful spending that's there. And all you're going to see is continued more wasteful spending. Jeff, heck no. Actually, I don't say heck no. Heck no, that's exactly why the county and city should not be allowed to impose tax increases when they want. This time it's 3%, next year another 3%, the next year more, and so on and so on and so on. They have to learn how to spend properly. The voters should decide on tax increases. Jeff, out of control crime, now out of control spending. With the last one out of Milwaukee, please turn off the lights. Well, that is kind of the interesting aspect that's going here. And you knew this was going to happen. And that's what kind of caught my attention. We have an agreement. Here, we're going to get all this money. We're going to get more shared revenue. And by the way, I think communities across the state they've got to readjust the shared revenue formula. It hasn't been changed in 20 or 30 years, and I think that they make a legitimate purpose and a legitimate argument saying, we should get more of that back to help us operate, or be able to impose our own sort of increases. So, I'm somewhat sympathetic to that. But you can see what's really going on when you have Milwaukee aldermen saying, I don't know that a 2% sales tax is going to be enough, because I think we need another 1% because, we want to expand the streetcar and things like that. And by the way, don't make us go to those pesky voters and vote on that. I think the way the city and county have been handling this have been, from just a political perspective, really been kind of questionable, because at a time when you're trying to get more money back to deal with what are some of the real problems that are there, the pension time bomb, which is ticking away, and the fact that, you need more money to continue to provide basic services, to start talking about, well, we'd also like to have more money because, we've got our pet projects, and, we want to expand that trolley, and we want to do all these types of things. Give us that extra money for transportation. It kind of undercuts the argument that, hey, we've got to have this money to deal with necessity. And I just... It's one of those deals where I think sometimes you end up getting greedy, and it demonstrates again how difficult it is to ever sort of rein in spending, because you've got people that get elected to government offices, and what they want to do is they just automatically decide they want to tax, they want to spend. They don't want to conserve, or at least that's an unpopular sort of position. And then it becomes this game to try to find more and more and more revenue. I think, candidly, going in and asking for more than was on the table in the Republican Assembly's proposal, I just don't think that that's going anywhere at all. And I do think that there needs to be an adjustment to the shared revenue, and I think that's fair, and they're going to do that. More money is going to come back once this deal gets done, and it will get done. But if the localities want to impose their own additional taxes on this, and you're starting to talk about, for example, in Milwaukee County, the existing 0.5% sales tax raises almost $100 million. They would like to, I think, probably raise it at least another 0.5% so that people who buy goods in Milwaukee County would pay another almost $100 million in taxes. At some point in time, this has just got to kill business development, because people say, all right, well, if I'm going to go buy appliances, if I'm going to go and buy high-ticket items, why in the world am I shopping in Milwaukee County when I can go out to Ozaukee County or Washington County or over to Waukesha County, and I can buy the stuff and I can avoid some of these larger sales taxes? Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner.
Wealth-changing question. Is your investment portfolio really customized? Some advisors say they customize them, but all they really do is ask you a few questions, then put all your money in a model portfolio. Here at Creative Planning, each of our private wealth management clients' portfolios is unique. Your investment mix will be based on your custom financial plan. If that's not how your money's managed, you're not getting the customization you deserve. Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
Hi folks, this is Hank Albert, owner of BBC Lighting. With cold weather fading, it's time to spruce up your home with new lights and ceiling fans. Our huge showroom displays all the finest brands, such as Visual Comfort, Hubbardton, Hudson Valley, Fanimation, and hundreds more. Whether it's the newest LEDs or more conventional styles, we get every brand, and our prices are the lowest. I guarantee it. If it's lampshades or repairs you need, we do all that too. Trade in your old shades and get an extra 20% off. There's something for everyone at BBC, including fun for the kids. BBC is located at 20th and St. Paul Avenue near the Potawatomi Casino. Shop Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and Saturday from 10 to 4. Stay safe and healthy, my friends.
Greg Matzik here for Holiday Mazda in Fond du Lac, where the Memorial Day sales event is on. Steer into summer and drive inspired in a new Mazda from Holiday, the destination to get more Mazda for your money, more for your trade, and enjoy more choices from their fast-expanding selection, including Mazda CX-5, CX-50, and the all-new first-ever Mazda CX-90. Choose one that's in stock today or reserve one that's on the way. You'll be in the caring hands of Wisconsin's #1 Mazda dealer, its #1 Mazda certified pre-owned dealer, and the Badger State's only recipient of the prestigious Mazda President's Club Award, recognizing exceptional guest care. Accolades are per Mazda North American Operations, Performance, and Zone Sales records for 2022. As a repeat fan of theirs myself, I can confidently say you are in for a great buying and ownership experience when you drive Holiday. Find yours and discover the difference at Holiday Mazda, Highway 41 and 23 in Fond du Lac, and at holidaymazda.com. It's worth the trip.
You're listening to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
So very glad to have you with us. Oh, once again, I forgot to remind people at the start of the show, in addition to listening to spoken word radio over on-the-air radio or through our streaming services, you can also watch us as we do our shows now. We've got our own YouTube channel. YouTube, on WTMJ on YouTube. Who knew? Easiest way to do that is either just to go directly to the YouTube channel or go to WTMJ.com, and instead of clicking on the Listen Live, you can click on the Watch Live button and see what we're all wearing. Wyatt Barmore-Pooley wearing a particularly colorful shirt for today. I'm wearing kind of my white pullover.
It's movie theater carpet chic. That's what this is.
It is movie theater carpet chic. Okay, well, check it out on YouTube. See what Wyatt is wearing today. He's always the fashion plate of the studio. Right now, WTMJ Breaking News time is 12:32 p.m. And from the WTMJ Breaking News department, here is our fashion plate, Wyatt Barmore-Pooley.
Thanks, Jeff. A quadruple shooting on Milwaukee's northwest side, leaving 4 teens wounded. Milwaukee police say that 2 19-year-olds, an 18-year-old, and a 16-year-old, all women, were shot near 38th and Walnut around midnight. All 4 expected to survive. Milwaukee police say they've got no suspects in custody and are investigating what led up to the quadruple shooting. It's the 3-year anniversary of the death of George Floyd. Here in Milwaukee, local activists holding a memorial ceremony for Floyd in front of a memorial painting near North and Holton on the north side. Floyd's death sparked protests around the country and here in Milwaukee during the summer of 2020. In the wake of his killing, the Milwaukee Fire and Police Commission banning the use of police chokeholds. The search for a new superintendent at the Heartland Lakeside School District is entering its final stages. The school board says it's down to 2 candidates to replace outgoing Superintendent Nancy Nicolay and one of those is Jerry Sardina. He runs the Iron Mountain Public School District in Michigan. The other is David Munoz, the current superintendent at the Mosinee School District. The board has not yet indicated when they're going to make their final decision. Time for news about your money, the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update, and things are looking good in the markets today. The Dow is up 295 points, nearly a whole percent. The S&P is up 51, that's over 1%, and the NASDAQ is up 271, that is over 2% up for the NASDAQ. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit annexwealth.com. You can click the Get Started button today. Taking a look at your roads, it is your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. Things are mostly looking good. Doesn't seem to be any major slowdowns or any delays, and there's also no accidents reported, so it's looking good today.
I'm Brett Matschke, and you're due for service.
Richlawns Tire and Service Centers. 5 locations and all easy to find. Visit richlawns.com when you're due for service.
Time for the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Sunny skies today, a high of 62 at the lake, 70 degrees inland. Tonight, mainly clear, a low of 46. Saturday, we're going to start warming up. It'll be mostly sunny with a high of 67. Sunday, beautiful sunshine, a high of 70. Monday, warm and sunny and a high of 72. And Tuesday, mostly sunny and the highs all the way up to 74. In Plymouth, it's 68. In Wauwatosa, it is 63. And in Milwaukee, it is 57 degrees. I'm Wyatt Barmore-Pooley, Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 1234.
I'm Jeff Wagner. Coming up next, Master Lock says goodbye to Milwaukee. We'll discuss.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Hi, it's Mary Ann. Spring weather is certainly unpredictable, but at Heiser, our prices aren't. Find the perfect vehicle on our lots, or we'll help you special order one. You'll get upfront pricing, no hidden market adjustment fees, and we have inventory under MSRP. Stop in or shop online at Heiser.com. At Heiser, today's your day.
See dealer for complete details.
Our house needs a lot of work. That roof, siding.
J&J Contractors.
It's not just the outside. The bathroom needs to be completely redone.
J&J Contractors. They do it all with top-of-the-line quality craftsmanship that's all custom or semi-custom. In addition to full interior remodels, J&J Contractors' skilled and certified team members use high-quality materials for all your exterior needs. Roofing, siding, windows, and gutters. Contact them today to schedule a consultation. Just Google J&J Contractors.
Hey, boaters!
This is Dave Dorrell from Kendor Marine. When you get here, you might be overwhelmed when you see so much stuff. But don't be, because our staff knows just where to find what you need. They're knowledgeable, friendly, and willing to help so that you can find everything you need to keep your boat in tip-top shape. Boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water. Hey, boaters!
We have the go-to marine store. And it's not just because we have all the boat parts and supplies you'll ever need, including oddball parts you thought you'd never be able to find. And it's also because we're cheaper than the other guys too. So why shop anywhere else? This is Dave Dorrell from Kendor Marine. Boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Masterlock has been a corporate mainstay in Milwaukee for, well, going on 90 years. Actually, the original Masterlock was founded in 1921, which is over a century ago. The original Masterlock company was located in the Pabst Brewery. And then in 1939, it moved to the north side. It's currently located on about 32nd and Center Street. At its high point, that would be in the 1980s and the 1990s, Masterlock employed 1,300 workers in the Milwaukee factory. And there have been... Well, I mean, you're talking about just like so many other, factories. And when I grew up in Milwaukee, this really was a manufacturing town. I mean, you had three breweries. You had Schlitz, you had Pabst, you had Miller that were all operating. You had Alice Chalmers, you had Briggs and Stratton, you had A.O. Smith. You had all these big manufacturing companies that were there. And it was possible back in the 60s and 70s for sure, it was possible that you could you could graduate from high school, and if you had a good work ethic, you could go to work for one of the various factories around the country. You had Briggs, as I mentioned, Briggs. You had Allen Bradley, which subsequently became Rockwell. I'd add that to the equation, and all sorts of other ones. But you could go to work. You could get a good-paying factory job. You weren't going to get rich. I mean, you weren't going to buy a Learjet, but it was enough to carve out a good middle-class life, to raise a family, to go on vacation and do those sort of things. And one by one, the manufacturing jobs have just been disappearing. And unfortunately, I don't think a lot of them are coming back. Well, anyhow, there was a surprise announcement made a day or two ago that Masterlock, which, like I say, has been a mainstay in the central city. I mean, we're talking about 32nd and Center. And again, it's not Masterlock. It's not, from an employment perspective, it's not like it was 40 years ago. It doesn't employ 1,300 people, but they announced yesterday that they are going to be closing the Milwaukee facility. Now, their corporate headquarters remain in Oak Creek, but this means that there's about, I think, like 400 right now, 400 positions being cut. 330 are union jobs. So you're talking about $20 or more an hour. and those jobs are going away. They're going to start scaling back the jobs starting in the fall, and then the idea is by sometime in the spring of next year that the whole facility is going to be closed. As you might expect, this news was not greeted well by a lot of the local officials. You know, it's being described as a slap in the face by both the mayor and by the county executive. The union head is disgusted, as the phrase is. Yet again, another profitable corporation has decided to close the doors of a manufacturing icon in corporate America's never-ending quest for profit without any regard for the people amassing their wealth. Mayor says he's enormously disappointed, and this is a slap in the face to hardworking Milwaukee employees. The mayor says the company hasn't given him a logical explanation for their actions. Well, the answer, in short, is that Master Lock has determined that by closing the Milwaukee facility and moving production to other places, they are going to save somewhere in the neighborhood of $75 million a year, maybe more. Our number is 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. This is not a good, positive development for the city in general, and particularly an area of the city that needs, good jobs, because these are good jobs, and you're going to have, 400 of them, 330 which are good paying union jobs that are going to disappear. But, Master Lock has made the decision that it's more profitable to move these jobs out of an aging facility and do the work elsewhere. All right, Master Lock, are they bad guys for moving? How do you react to this story? 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. We discuss in a moment.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
CPAP is one option that can be used to keep the throat open at night. It can work. There are other ways of keeping that airway open other than a machine. Another option that most people have never heard of is an oral appliance. An oral appliance is like a retainer that you wear when you're sleeping at night. It's super slim, slides in your mouth, and what it does is it helps to keep your airway open. That's exactly what a CPAP machine does. Most people who are good candidates for a CPAP machine to treat their sleep apnea are also good candidates for an oral appliance. Most of those people never get offered an oral appliance. Advent has decided to change the practice of medicine in this country by offering oral appliances to our patients. And what that means is we are allowing our patients to have the choice of a CPAP machine oral appliance when they have sleep apnea, and that's a big deal.
Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
What's the way to build your wealth?
While going over a new client's statements from one of the big financial firms, I was floored when I read that firm does not offer tax or estate planning advice, because we know that saving money for our clients on their taxes, legally and well within the law, can make a huge difference in their financial plan. If you want to wisely build your wealth, it is my firm opinion that without a comprehensive approach, you're going to be at a big disadvantage. At Financial Strategies, Inc., we're taking a deep dive and creating comprehensive strategies that develop your retirement, investment, and your tax and estate planning. And all under a fee-only structure that means the success we care about most is yours. I'm Jim Cantrell, and I believe we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to FinancialStrategiesInc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial strategies, a wiser way to build your wealth.
Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors. CertainTeed Diamond Level Select Shingle Masters. The best of the best. And that's why you can feel confident in choosing us to install your new roof.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
The Fireside Theater in Fort Atkinson presents the world's greatest live tribute show, Legends in Concert, direct from London, featuring tributes to Elton John, Freddie Mercury, Adele,
Hello, how are you?
Rod Stewart, and Dusty Springfield. These incredible artists, backed by a live band, deliver one of the most spectacular concerts you'll ever see. Every ticket to the Fireside includes a superb dinner prepared by award-winning chefs and a chance to visit their spectacular gift shops. Order your tickets now. Call 800-477-9505 or visit firesidetheater.com. See legends in concert direct from London, live on stage June 1st through July 16th, exclusively at the Fireside Theater.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
At its height, in the 80s and 90s, Master Lock employed approximately 1,400 people. It's down to around 400 now, and Master Lock announcing yesterday or 2 days ago that they're going to be closing the Milwaukee plant. They're going to be moving production to other plants in and around North America. What they do, they in Milwaukee, they produce parts. The parts are then shipped to Mexico, where they are assembled, and then they're brought back into the United States. The estimates are, and Master Lock's been kind of closed-mouthed about why it is exactly that they're making the move, but at least from some of the things I've seen, they claim that by closing the Milwaukee facility and doing the work elsewhere, they can save somewhere in the neighborhood of $75 million, maybe a little less, maybe a little bit more, but that's why they're doing it. 855-616-1620, Greg and Big Bend. Greg, good afternoon. You're on WTMJ.
Good afternoon, Jeff. I enjoy your program.
Thank you.
I am a former Master Lock employee. I lost my job along with 60 of my coworkers in March of 2021.
Okay.
I was an electrician, worked in the machine repair maintenance area, and at that time, management told us they didn't know how to manage maintenance and machine building. So they decided to have an outside company come in to do our jobs. They claimed they were going to save $2.5 million a year from what they were paying the 61 of us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it didn't go real well. They spent over 3 times that amount just to try to maintain the machinery, which they couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Master Lock was founded on a lock machinery. There's not an off-the-shelf company that makes that stuff. It was all built in-house. They lost the engineers. They lost all of us. And their production went down terribly, and the morale, of course, went down terribly.
So what do you think is going on with this, Greg? I mean, I'm sure I assume you know a lot of people who still work there now.
Yes, I do. Well, I have good friends that are still there that are shell-shocked over this. This is nothing more than what you brought up, the $50 to $75 million they're going to save by closing the plant.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it will work out that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's just another money grab.
Okay, interesting. No, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. 855-616-1620. And if we have other former employees at Master Lock, I'd be delighted to talk to you. I think one of the things that has generated the intensity of the reaction is that I don't think anybody saw this one coming. At least I don't think local officials saw this coming. It was just sort of, and so I think it kind of blindsided them. Now, I don't know that it changes it. The other thing is, now Master Lock's response would be, well, we've given people a lot of notice. It's not like we're just giving a 90-day plant notice. We've said that, hey, we're giving people a lot of notice. We're going to start this wind down in the fall, and then we're not going to fully close until I think it's March or April of next year. So we're giving people notice. But one of the things that again has created this problem is I don't think that there were discussions. I don't get the sense that Master Lock went to the city or the county and said, look, this is something that we are looking at, and is there something that you can do to make us change our mind? Is there something that you can do, some incentives or something that you can provide in order for us to stay open? I think they pretty much decided, look, we're on the way out. All right, if they can, in fact, now Greg raises an interesting point, and I've seen this play out in corporate America before, where they think sometimes decisions are made by outsourcing stuff, by closing. We do something internally. We can go and we can bring somebody in from the outside, and they can do it, and we can save all sorts of money. And I can give you countless examples of where that decision is kind of backfired because it turns out that the people that you're bringing in from the outside, there's a learning curve, or they really can't do it as cheaply as people think. But if Master Lock is correct and they can save $50 million by producing these parts for the locks that are then shipped to Mexico, are they corporate bad guys for doing that? 855-616-1620. Mike in Crystal Lake. Mike, you're on WTMJ.
Hey, Jeff.
Hi, Mike.
Enjoying the show. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, I've been a locksmith since 1985. And back in the early days, the 80s, 90s, and even the early 2000s, you could find padlocks that were identical to Master that were half the price from overseas, and they were junk.
Mm-hmm.
However, that overseas has been doing a bit of upgrading, and right now I could get you 4 padlocks that from 4 different manufacturers, identical to Masters, about 20% less. The difference between then and now is that these now have the same quality.
Mm-hmm.
They hold up very well, the same quality that Master is. Master hasn't lost their quality. And Master also makes doorknobs and deadbolts for residential.
Right.
They are a bit better quality than the ones coming from overseas. The problem is those are sold in the big box stores, and people look at the price and say, these two look identical, I'm going to buy the cheaper one.
Right, right. Hey, do you remember, a lot of people are mentioning this. Remember the Super Bowl ads that Master Lock used to run from like the mid-'70s to the 90s? And there were variations of them, but it was like a guy with a high-powered rifle that would shoot the lock. And, they'd show the bullet going through the lock, and the lock still wouldn't open. Those were some of the best ads ever.
Well, here's the thing on that. You have to get that bullet right dead center, because right dead center is between the 2 steel balls that actually hold the hasp on.
Yeah.
If you hit it a little bit to the right or the left, the lock's going to fly off and open right up.
So you really needed a good marksman. They had to hit it exactly the right spot for that not to open, huh?
Yeah, and then it's going to be stuck there for a good long time. But, a little bit to the left or the right, it's wide open.
Yeah. Are you surprised that this is happening, or do you think it's just inevitable given, like what you're talking about, with a lot of the locks coming from overseas being of comparable quality, maybe not better, but maybe comparable quality and 20% less? Are you surprised that this is happening with Master Lock?
Not really. I'm disappointed. I hate seeing Americans lose their jobs because things are being bought from overseas, but quite frankly, it is comparable quality, and it is about 20% less.
Interesting.
It's not really surprising. Schlage, for example, when we first got in the business, a Schlage deadbolt was the best thing on the market. Then they started shipping their parts down to Mexico and have it assembled in Mexico, and that's when you started getting wrong this and wrong that, just flat out of the box mistakes.
Right. Right.
And, that's how they kind of had a big problem with theirs. They've since fixed that problem, but when they were shipping to Mexico, it was a problem.
Thanks for the call. I appreciate the perspective. One of our texters said, I used to work as an outside contractor at Master Lock a few years ago. They told us in 2019 that they were planning on closing the Milwaukee operation. So they were telling the vendors, but apparently they didn't care much to tell Milwaukee officials. Yes, that's it. Jeff, I'm a locksmith, and the residential grade locks Master that Master sells, I don't think, and it goes on to say, I don't think that they're any better than most of the locks that you can get today. Well, again, Master Lock isn't my understanding at least is they're not discontinuing production. I mean, they're still going to be making locks. They say they're just going to be moving the jobs to other locations. They say that it's going to be in North America. So, if you believe what the statement is, it's not like they're going to go to China to have these manufactured. But there's no question that this is a blow. Dell in West Dallas. Dell, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hi, Dale.
If I might slightly diverge from some of the few things that have just been brought up and just talk about that area. I'm coming from a point of view that I've probably got well over 3,000 to 4,000 Uber trips done on the northwest side of town. And I, frequently drive around that area. And I think the concern, besides Master-like closing this and going forward, is we talk about the hop, we talk about propping up downtown and having the brewers here.
Mm-hmm.
But what about that area where that facility sits? The roads are horrible. There's so many rundown buildings. What about that? Should we be concerned about how we can maybe make it so that another business wants to buy that facility, and then maybe we don't lose so many of the jobs? Maybe another business says, hey, I can utilize that place and wants to take the jobs lost and bring back and bring in maybe some new jobs, maybe some better jobs, better paying jobs than what were there.
Yeah, Del, thanks. No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you make look. Let's also understand. I mean, one of the reasons this hits the city of Milwaukee so hard is that is a depressed area. I mean, to your point, it's 32nd and Center, and you're exactly right. That's what we need. What we need if you want to see development outside of the downtown area where I'm sitting right now, where you have a lot of development that's going on. You need to have those good family-sustaining jobs. And that's one of the reasons why this is kind of a double blow. At the same time, to your point, remember a couple years ago when Strauss Veal wanted to move from Franklin into the Century City area, which is, in that general sort of area. Remember when they wanted to do that? And they were going to bring the plant in, and they were going to create 200 to 250 jobs, maybe 125 at start, and then it was going to go to 250 or 300 jobs over time. And these were precisely the type of jobs that the area needed. And then you had some of people in the community and the aldermen who responded by saying, well, okay, we're not sure that we want a slaughterhouse in this area, without having any clue as to what they were talking about. And the state-of-the-art facility that Strauss had in Franklin, nobody had, I think, even ever driven by that. You wouldn't have known that was a quote-unquote slaughterhouse. So then, the community says, well, we don't necessarily want this, etc. And, Strauss says, okay, well, if you don't want us, we'll move on to plan B. That's precisely the problem that goes on when you try to find these good, well-paying jobs. You've got some people in Milwaukee that just rise up and they object to this or that or the other thing, and they kill it. And then there's nothing to replace the jobs like at Masterlock when Masterlock makes the decision that they are going to move on. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Giants are headed to Milwaukee, and Uncle Jesse and Uncle Joey are making sure this house is full.
Hit to right center. Hey, in the gap. Winker into second with a scorching double.
Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts tonight at 6:35.
Swing on a drive to left and deep. Get out of here. Gone for Joey Weaver.
This series is sponsored by Steinhoffel's Memorial Day Sale. We are the home of the Brewers. WTMJ.
I'm certified financial planner Tony Drake with Drake & Associates. If you're retired or looking to retire soon, have you developed a strategy to minimize or eliminate the taxes when you start pulling money out of your IRA or 401k? If you haven't, then you have a very vulnerable plan because taxes are going up in the future. And if you look at the spending our government does, taxes could rise even more. Find out what's missing in your retirement strategy by requesting a copy of my Retirement Ready Toolkit that's loaded with materials designed to help protect you from taxes. Call or text TAX to 414-409-9982. That's calling or texting TAX to 414-409-9982 to get your free toolkit today.
Investment advisory services provided by Drake & Associates, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products are offered through a separate company, Loft Financial Advisory Group, LLC, a Wisconsin insurance agency. Clients are under no obligation to purchase any recommended insurance products.
Humans can do a lot of amazing things. Fighting bugs isn't one of them. STEM is powered by active ingredients found in plants to fight off bugs safely and effectively. Use as directed. STEM, rooted in nature, optimized by science.
Wisconsin's own Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
It's ESPN Milwaukee's Jen Latta, and I have told you about the delicious pizza and Italian snacks that you can find at Proof Pizza inside St. Kate the Arts Hotel. But now there's even more to be excited about. The restaurant has added new sandwiches to the menu. Available every day from 11 to 4, you can enjoy items like the Red Rock Chicken BLT, the Meatball Hero, and more. Order from the counter at Proof or directly from the bar at St. Kate. Explore the new sandwiches and the rest of the menu at proofpizzamke.com.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here. Downsizing is an unfortunate reality of the corporate world, but there is a right way and a wrong way to do it. LAK Group can help, acting as your company's partner during outplacement and helping turn what is an unfortunate time for employees into one of opportunity. They help those affected find a new path and offer valuable guidance, turning an end into a beginning. Discover how LAK can help you with outplacement services at transformingcareers.com. LAK Group. Discover your human advantage.
If mom or dad aren't comfortable with assisted living, now's the time to have their home equipped to accommodate their needs. There's a huge customer appreciation sale going on at Miller Mobility June 9th and 10th. Save on stair lifts, ramps, scooters, lift chairs, bathroom safety, and more. Miller Mobility can equip any home to accommodate everything a senior needs without moving into an assisted living facility. Mention this ad and save an additional 10%. See their huge showroom in Oconomowoc or visit millermobility.com.
Years ago, Mom believed in us so much, she wrote a business plan to get the company started, and today, Johnson & Sons Paving is thriving.
And loaded with family.
I'm Jason Johnson.
And I'm Jeff Johnson.
Johnson & Sons Paving is your premier asphalt, concrete, seal coating, and striping company.
From pothole patching to asphalt repairs
to parking lot total reconstructions, we have you covered.
Johnson & Sons Paving is customer-focused and quality-driven.
Call us today.
262-251-5585.
Johnson & Sons Paving.com.
The place you want to go, Lynch McWanago.
Nobody sells for less than Lynch.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. Your hometown hub for everything that matters. The latest news, traffic, weather, and sports on Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
At 1 o'clock, it is 58 degrees, sunny skies today, a high of 62. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Wyatt Barmore-Pooley. Gun violence rearing its ugly head at the start of the long holiday weekend.
4 women, all between the ages of 16 and 19, injured after shots rang out near Milwaukee's Washington Park neighborhood overnight. Milwaukee police say that shooting happened near 38th and Walnut just after midnight. Police say 2 of the victims were 19 years old, another an 18-year-old woman and a 16-year-old girl. Police say they are searching for unknown suspects. They're also looking for any information regarding the moments leading up to that shooting. To date, Milwaukee police have recorded 58 homicides since January 1. That is about 24 fewer than at this time last year, though 9 of those homicides were children under the age of 18. Mike Spalding, WTMJ News.
Today, kicking off that busy holiday travel weekend, ABC's Will Carr.
Well, there's going to be more than 37 million Americans on the road this holiday weekend. That is a 6% jump from this point last year. And today is going to be the busiest day. If you're heading out, you want to head out in the morning. You know your normal rush hour, that 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. that can drive you crazy if you're in your car. Well, that's going to be downright maddening throughout the holiday weekend.
And hundreds of thousands of travelers will be making their way through the Badger State. TMJ4's Elaine Rojas Castillo taking a closer look at those numbers.
AAA says travelers are expected to hit the roads in droves, with just over 800,000 Wisconsinites traveling at least 50 miles from home this weekend, with 720,000 of them expected to drive. That's almost 40,000 more than this time last year. Data shows gas prices are higher than pre-pandemic levels, but down from last year's record highs.
The busiest travel days of the weekend are expected to be today and tomorrow. The commissioner of Major League Baseball putting a little pressure on state lawmakers to work out stadium funding and get a deal in place for American Family Field.
This is a gem of a ballpark.
MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred telling local reporters the stadium is in great shape, but it will take an additional investment from the state to keep it that way.
It's really important that the existing obligation under the lease be funded so that this great ballpark is maintained on a regular basis. It needs to be done in a timely way.
Governor Evers proposed a $290 million investment in his state budget. Legislative leaders say they're coming up with a different plan. Vince Vitrano, WTMJ News.
Sports, traffic, and weather coming up next. Citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 104.
This report's sponsored by Mr. Holland's Heating and Air Conditioning. Visit MrHollandsHeatingandAir.com.
If we quoted one price and then charged a higher amount, that would make us liars. Do you enjoy doing business with liars? Me neither. Liars dazzle with delectable deals only to dupe you into dishing more dinero with phony phrases like surcharge, processing fee, and undercoating. But Mr. Holland's Home Services gives you a crystal clear, straightforward price prior to any heating and air installation, plumbing repair, or electrical work. The price we say is the price you pay. Period. I believe this is what the cool kids call keeping it real. Wait, the cool kids do still say that, right? With Mr. Holland's Home Services, there's no flip-flopping and no sticker shocking. And that's no lie. Call 866-992-1717 or visit MrHollandsHomeservices.com. You smell smoke? Nope, because my pants are not on fire.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here. A couple years ago, my knee was acting up. As an athlete, I've played through pain before, but it was getting to the point where I couldn't compete in the sports I loved. I decided to check out Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. It's the best decision I've made. I felt no pressure to have surgery. That was important to me. We had choices. I ultimately did choose to have a procedure. I was in and out in just hours and back in action shortly after. I recommend meeting their doctors. Visit orthowisconsin.com today.
At Pentecost, we realize how generous God is. Now we can share in a language of love what Jesus did on the cross for every person in the world. The gospel springs from the hearts of believers to touch others who have not yet seen, heard, or understood God's grace.
Pastor Hector Hoppy shares a timely invitation this week on The Lutheran Hour.
The Lutheran Hour, Sunday mornings at 6:30 on WTMJ.
After taking 2 of 3 against the Astros in Milwaukee, the Brewers dropped the series opener against the Giants on Thursday night. They'll look to rebound tonight in Game 2 with Freddie Peralta on the mound. Coverage gets underway at 6:05 on WTMJ. In the NBA, it's the Heat and Celtics. Tomorrow night, Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. If the Heat win, they advance to the NBA Finals to take on the Denver Nuggets. And Block 1 of organized team activities for the Packers is in the books. Block 2 begins on May 30th. Greg Matz, WTMJ Sports.
Taking a look at your roads, it is your Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic, and it's been a quiet day on the roads this afternoon. That continues. It looks like pretty much no slowdowns or delays anywhere. It looks like maybe a little bit at the Zoo interchange on 41, but that's pretty much it. Everything else is looking good, and there are no accidents up on the board.
Traffic is brought to you by the Harley-Davidson Museum. Head to the HD Museum campus Thursday, June 1st through Sunday, June 4th for the HD Factory Outlet Summer Sale on discontinued Harley-Davidson motor clothes, merchandise, and select officially licensed products.
Time for the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Sunny skies today, a high of 62 at the lake, 70 degrees inland. Tonight, mainly clear, a low of 46. Tomorrow's going to be mostly sunny and warmer, a high of 67. Sunday is going to be even more beautiful, a high of 70 at the lake, up to 77 inland. Monday, warm and sunny, a high of 72 at the lake, up to 80 degrees inland. And Tuesday, mostly sunny and a high of 74. Right now in Madison, it's 71. In Green Bay, it's 72. In Waukesha, it's 67. And in Milwaukee, it is 58 degrees. I'm Wyatt Barmore-Pooley, citing Unlimited. WTMJ News time is 1:08.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome back to the show. So glad to have you with us. One final thought on Master Lock moving out and the facility at 32nd and Center. And one of our callers was talking about the area. And Milwaukee really, in many respects, is a tale of two cities. I was thinking about this last night. I was at the open house that was held for the new Right Height facility. Right Height is an international company that is based in Milwaukee. They make a number of things, but like dock loading operations and things would be that. They formerly were in Brown Deer. They've relocated from Brown Deer. They built a new, spectacular, state-of-the-art facility that's in the area. To picture it, it's on Freshwater Way. It's off of South 2nd Street. very, very near the Harley-Davidson Museum and the Harley-Davidson facility. I mean, you can sit in the Right Height cafeteria and look out, and you can see the Harley-Davidson facility. So that's kind of the area where it is. But it is absolutely spectacular. Now, I'm a little bit biased with this because it's a family-run business, and the owners and their family are very, very close friends of myself and my wife. But it was just this spectacular facility. And if you've driven into the area, it's this giant glass state-of-the-art building. It's really, you could put this facility in any major city in the world, and it would stand out. And it's in Milwaukee. It's a very, very cool thing. But it's a tale of two cities, because you have this development, you have the Harley development down in that area. So there are some major international corporations that are willing to make investments in the city. But at the same time, they're in the downtown area. You go out to where the Master Lock facility is on 32nd and Center, and that was at one point in time was a huge industrial area, and one by one, all the manufacturing facilities have left, and they haven't been able to replace them. And when the city does come up with a way of replacing them, like I was saying earlier, like Strauss Meats, that wants to locate in that Century City area, and then what happens is the people in the neighborhood and some of the politicians kill it. And just turn up their nose to hundreds of good-paying jobs, and then they wonder, why these areas continue to decline. But it really is. I mean, there's for every, tragic story, Master Lock leaving, there are success stories. And I mean, I saw one last night when I was at the Right Height facility, just absolutely amazing. And you hope the city can figure out a way to get its act together and convince more people to make the investments like they did with Right Height and a couple of the other places that are moving down Milwaukee Tool and Fiserv, as opposed to the stories of Master Lock. They've got to figure out, how to make it a net gain. And right now, I'm not sure they're doing this. I don't know. I was listening to Wyatt's News. I'm not sure people got the memo. I mean, don't people know that this is Peace Week? That the mayor has declared this to be Peace Week, and there's been all sorts of activities designed to encourage people to put down their guns. Well, the message might not have gotten out. 4 teenagers injured in a shooting Friday morning near 38th and Roberts in Milwaukee happened shortly after midnight. Police say the victims include a 16-year-old girl, an 18-year-old woman, and 2 19-year-old women. So 4 women ages 16 to 19 all shot. Circumstances leading to the shooting are under investigation. No arrests have been made. And, of course, this raises the question that we ask rhetorically on so many occasions. What's the 16-year-old doing on the street after midnight? I mean, I thought we had curfews here. I guess we don't enforce those curfews. But, what's Wagner's rule of life? Nothing good happens outside a strip club at 2 in the morning. Nothing good happens to teenagers, particularly people under the age of 18, on the mean streets of Milwaukee after like 10 o'clock at night. And this is just another example of that. One other story that, as we move to Memorial Day weekend and more people are getting on the roads, it's just, I want to reinforce something that I know I've been preaching for years, and I was preaching earlier this week. How can I say this? If you are riding or driving in a car and you are not wearing your seatbelt, you are 2 things. First of all, you are putting your life at risk. And secondly, you're an idiot. There's just no other way to say this nicely, because as we've talked about before, I understand. There was a time when I started driving years and years ago, all right, you didn't have the shoulder harnesses, you had the seatbelt, and we didn't know then what we know now. And I understand that I remember when I first started driving, you get in the car, and I'm not going to buckle the seatbelt and stuff. I don't want to be confined, et cetera, et cetera. Well, over the years, cars have become dramatically more safe. You've got all sorts of technology that is built into the cars, whether it's airbags or the restraint systems or all these different things. But they're all contingent on working together. And it starts with wearing a seatbelt or a shoulder harness, because if you look at probably most of the fatalities that occur in automobile crashes, it's because somebody is not restrained and they're thrown. They're thrown from the vehicle or they're thrown around the vehicle. They go, instead of instead of just getting the whiplash or whatever, boom, they go through the windshield or they hit the windshield. Those are the things that happen. And so I always understand that whenever we talk about this, I hear anecdotally somebody will say, well, Jeff, I know somebody who dated someone who had a cousin who was in a crash, and if they had been wearing their seatbelt, they would be dead. And I accept that there are those stories out there, but it's the unicorn. It's the 1 in 1,000 sort of situation. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be that 1 in 1,000. I don't want to betting those odds. I want to be 1 in the 999, not the 1 in 1,000. And here's the latest story of this: 17-year-old Milwaukee girl is charged in connection with a fatal crash that killed her sister on State Highway 794 in Cudahy. Here's what happens. According to the criminal complaint, sheriff's deputies were dispatched to a rollover accident on 794 at Pennsylvania Avenue. You can kind of picture that, kind of by the airport, I would guess, or if you were heading down the Lake Freeway. Pennsylvania Avenue around 2 a.m. Sunday, May 21st. When deputies arrived on the scene, they found a car off the roadway in the ditch. The complaint says a 14-year-old girl was lying outside the vehicle. More on that in just a minute. And the defendant, the 14-year-old sister, was attempting life-saving measures, exclaiming that she was sorry that she had killed her sister. Medical personnel arrived on the scene, but the 14-year-old was dead. The complaint says the scene of the crash is the area of a curve where 794 ends. If you can kind of picture that. Deputies examined the area and determined that the car had failed to successfully execute the curve, had left the roadway in the curve, going onto the grass, and flipped over completely. The 14-year-old girl, wait for it, had been unbuckled in the car, so no seatbelt. When deputies questioned the defendant, she told them that she had been driving the car at a fast pace, southbound on 794, failed to see the curve until it was too late. She tried to brake, turned the wheel, but the car ended up flipping. And then goes on to say that she did not have a driver's license. So here you have somebody who was speeding, 2 o'clock in the morning, fails to negotiate a turn, and what ends up happening is her 14-year-old sister is dead because she's ejected from the car. And again, I don't mean to preach on this, but people are going to be driving more and more, and I know there's a lot of people that are listening to me right now that are on their cars. Maybe you're heading up north to put the boat in the water. Maybe you're, going down to Indiana or something because maybe you're going to the Indy 500, something like that. It doesn't matter. Or maybe you're just going across town to visit some friends. Doesn't matter. Put on your darn seatbelts because, for everybody who says, oh, it's only a short trip or whatever, well, okay, that's all it takes because you're in an intersection, especially around here, and somebody blows a red light and smashes into you. Doesn't matter whether you're 60 feet from home, 60 miles, or 600 miles from home. All you need is to have that collision and, you're in a situation where you're dead. I do not argue that, if you're wearing your seatbelt, that means that you're going to walk away from all automobile collisions. I'm not suggesting that. I am suggesting, though, that the number, and the numbers back me up, PolitiFact me on this one, the numbers back me up, that if you are properly restrained in your car, you're wearing your seatbelt, you're wearing your shoulder harness, your chances of surviving an automobile crash, a serious crash, are much, much better than if you're not wearing your seatbelt. So take a lesson from these stories that we're talking about on a regular basis. This horrible story from earlier this week as well, where you had the woman who blows, the 20-year-old who blows through the red light on Fond du Lac at a high rate of speed, smashes into another car, and like 5 of her family members or friends are killed. Well, at least 3 of them were killed because they were ejected from the vehicle. Presumably, they weren't wearing seat belts as well. Wear the belts. Your chances of walking away are much, much better. When we come back, it is the Memorial Day weekend. Let's bring back a program we do on this day every year. Stick around.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this. Wisconsin's Morning News.
The headline in today's Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Baseball commissioner has message for Wisconsin. Fix American Family Field or else. That is not what I heard in that 12-minute news conference.
Join Vince Vitrano every weekday starting at 5 a.m.
And again, I grant you the undercurrent is there of we need to do some things to make sure that it's all good, but I didn't hear that at all.
Only here on Wisconsin's radio station, News Radio WTMJ.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. I always thought Vince Lombardi came up with that famous sports nugget, but it turns out he borrowed it from a college coach. And now I'm going to borrow it too, because when there are 10 or 20 offers on a property, there's only one winner. In today's inventory-starved real estate market, you need a Lombardi-level mortgage coach, one who has all the best plays in the playbook. Going with your bank for your pre-approval is like playing in a professional playoff game with the JV coach at the helm. The Lombardi-level coaches at AccuNet are called senior loan consultants, and each one has been trained by me to help you and your real estate agent work as one team to deliver the one and only thing that matters, winning. So if you've been losing with your flimsy bank pre-approval, trade up today to a rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval and a Lombardi-level game plan. And if you're just getting started, why not start with the best? Click on the blue button today and get started with your winning game plan at accunet.com.
I can remember the exact moment while we were sampling pizza on an East Coast food tour when we said, we need to highlight the culture and cuisine of the Midwest too. I felt drawn to showing off my hometown in a way that honored its past and present. And here we are, 16 years later, doing exactly that. I'm Teresa Emmons, founder of Milwaukee Food and City Tours and Chicago Food and City Tours. I hope you'll join us in Milwaukee or Chicago for a food tour this summer. Reserve your tour at MilwaukeeFoodTours.com or ChicagoFoodTours.com.
Steinhaffel's biggest Memorial Day sale is happening now. Get a Ninja 7-in-1 Master Grill with your purchase of $49.99 or more. Then take an extra $100 off your purchase of $19.99 or more. Take an extra 15% off our already reduced clearance center prices. Plus, with Steinhaffel's special 72-month financing, your new room just got even more affordable. The Memorial Day sales event, only at Steinhaffel's and Steinhaffels.com.
You're listening to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
One of our texters, Jeff, I never leave the driveway without my seatbelt buckled. I've been in a couple of accidents. I've walked away from them. A coworker of mine swears that seatbelts kill more people than anybody knows. He went to a junkyard and cut a seatbelt to take the buckle off so he could clip it into the buckle of his car to prevent the alarm from ringing. I can't quite picture what the guy did, but apparently trying to disable it so he could sit in the car without having to put on the belts. Lawyers have a 2-word phrase for people like that: organ donors. I mean, seriously, come on, wear your seat belts, people. Don't mean to lecture. All right, let us switch gears. This has been a mainstay on WTMJ for since I've been here. So we go back like 25 years. Originally, my friend and colleague Charlie Sykes would do this on this day every year. And then once Charlie left 6 or 7 years ago, I picked up the tradition. Now, Memorial Day, let me give you the history of Memorial Day because there is some confusion. Memorial Day was originally called Decoration Day, and it originated shortly after the Civil War. So that's how far back Decoration Day goes. It comes from a tradition of decorating graves with flowers and wreaths and flags. And Decoration Day, which became Memorial Day in 1967, I believe. We'll go through that in a second. But it's a day of remembrance for those who have died in service to our country. Memorial Day, Congress recognized Decoration Day as a federal holiday in 1938, and then people began to refer to Decoration Day as Memorial Day following World War II, and in 1967, the federal government adopted the Memorial Day name. But it's really, it's Decoration Day, and now it has become Memorial Day. So that's sort of the history of it. It's different from Veterans Day because Veterans Day is the opportunity that we have to recognize all veterans of military service. Memorial Day, like I say, it's a day of remembrance for those who have died in service to our country. Now, when we do this segment, we broaden it out a little bit, but what I like to do and what we have done historically over the years is take a couple segments of this program and give you an opportunity to remember and publicly recognize relatives, friends of yours, people that you have known who have passed away and have served our country. So it's a little bit broader for our purposes than people who necessarily died in World War II or died, in the Korean conflict or died, in Vietnam, although those remembrances are certainly welcome. But what we do is a little bit broader. Your chance to recognize and publicly acknowledge someone close to you, important to you, a relative, whatever, who is no longer with us, who served our country. Our number is 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. Back with your calls and texts in just a moment. This Memorial Day weekend, is there someone from your life that you would like to recognize who's no longer with us, who served our country? 855-616-1620. Back with your calls and texts in just a moment.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here. For my friends at Dave Drake Camp Heating, it's that time of year. We get occasional tastes of warmth, a much welcome reminder that summer's on the way. That means it's time to call Dave Drake Camp Heating to schedule your preseason tune-up. Whether it's overdue maintenance or repair you forgot to take care of last year or the need for a total system overhaul, do it now. Dave Drake Camp Heating is Lake Country's preferred Lennox premier dealer. They're ready to help. With healthy inventories, Lennox rebates, incentives, and possible tax credits, go with the company I trust. Visit DaveDrakeCamp.com.
A wiser way to build your wealth.
A wiser way to build your wealth starts with choosing a financial planning firm that is fee-only, because it means they work for you. Fee-only firms like Financial Strategies, Inc. don't work for a bank or brokerage firm or an insurance company or mutual fund company, because we don't want our decisions for your best interest compromised in any way. We work for you, and only in your best interest. And fee-only means the success we care about most is yours. Ask your advisor, are you 100% fee-only for 100% of your clients 100% of the time? If they answer no, get a second opinion. I'm Jim Cantrell with Financial Strategies, Inc., a fee-only, comprehensive financial planning firm. And I believe we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to FinancialStrategiesInc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial strategies, a wiser way to build your wealth.
Top Fitness has the largest selection of home fitness equipment in Wisconsin. Their staff will show you why it's no secret that everyone from personal trainers to professional athletes loves Top Fitness. Their superior customer service can help you reach your fitness goals. Save big during the Top Fitness Memorial Day sale going on now. Take up to $800 off Inspire Home gyms, racks, and cages. Snag up to $1,300 off Precourt treadmills and ellipticals. Take up to $2,500 off True treadmills. Plus, save over 50% on select Spirit treadmills, ellipticals, and exercise bikes. Fitness is their passion. Top Fitness carries a full range of gear from the best brands. So if you're looking for a complete home gym design or some simple weights, a Top Fitness store is the perfect place. Also available, professional delivery, assembly, and interest-free financing. Stop by the Top Fitness Brookfield location on Blue Mound Road and online at topfitness.com. Top Fitness, your best choice in home fitness equipment.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. Jeff, I'd like to say thank you and recognize my mother, Irene Miller, who served as a WAC in World War II. She passed away in 2013. I miss her every day. Yes, you're people that you would like to recognize this Memorial Day who are no longer with us, who served our country. Let's start with John in Burlington. John, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Hi, Jeff. Happy Memorial Day, first of all.
Yes, sir.
Just wanted to say, too, 4th of July is for fireworks. This is a solemn memory day, and having said that, I want to, my father, who served in Korea, died in 2013, Ed Bajorek. My father-in-law, who served in World War II, died in 2017, Roger Evanoff. And I was at a funeral today for my brother's father-in-law, served in Korea. He died a couple days ago. His name was Jim Greb.
Well, A lot of military tradition in your extended family.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for
Take care,
call.
Jeff.
Thanks
Bye.
for call, John. Let's talk to Peter in Delavan. Peter, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I don't have the military tradition of John, but I do have my father. He passed away in 2000, and he was in the Navy in one of the ships for the supposedly Bay of Pigs invasion that we were supposed to have in 1961.
In Cuba, really? So yeah. Wow. So I don't know that I've ever heard of anybody who was. I mean, I know the stories about like the Cuban nationals that were landed and tried to overthrow the government and stuff. And I know there were some American military advisors. Your dad was on one of the Navy ships, huh?
He was one of the ones who offloaded them.
Wow. What an incredible story. Thank you for the call, Peter. Wow. Let's talk to Cindy in Muskego. Cindy, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How would you like to have been married 6 weeks and then drafted after 6 weeks of marriage? It was. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's what happened to you?
Yes, and no time at all. He was gone, and he too was to have. Well, that was the time that the draft dodgers were. They called them. They would Canada and all that, but George wouldn't have anything to do with that. So he served, and then he was on a plane to Cuba, and something went wrong with the plane. The plane had to turn around. So, but yeah, when I recognize him, he's been gone 6 years now.
So he was drafted into Vietnam. Was it Vietnam, Cindy?
No. That was the Cuban crisis.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, even before that. Wow. Thanks for the call. 855-616-1620. We're going to continue this. We do this every Memorial Day weekend. Your opportunity to recognize somebody close to you, friends, relatives who are no longer with us, who served this country. The stories are always incredibly compelling. 855-616-1620. Back with more in just a minute. Right now, though, WTMJ Breaking News time is 1:32 p.m. And from the WTMJ Breaking News Center, here's Wyatt Barmore-Pooley.
Thanks, Jeff. As a history buff, I'm obsessed with your last two callers. That was really incredible. I got to get to the news, but hearing that I was just astounded here.
Right. Well, absolutely. I mean, I think, the Bay of Pigs is, of course, it's when the CIA organized the invasion at the end of the Eisenhower years and right after President Kennedy had taken over to kind of overthrow Cuba, and it turned out to be just a complete and total disaster. But yeah, I had never heard I'd never heard about anybody who was in the American military who was like offloading the boats and stuff.
Yeah, that's incredible. My great-grandfather was in the Navy. He served in World War II, but he never saw any action. He was stationed in San Francisco as the last line of defense for the Pacific Fleet.
Interesting.
But now I will actually do my job and get to the news. A quadruple shooting on Milwaukee's northwest side, leaving 14 wounded, all expected to survive. Milwaukee police say that they're looking for suspects. What led to the shooting near 38th and Walnut around midnight is under investigation. The search for a new superintendent at Heartland Lakeside School District entering its final stages. It's down to two. It's going to be either Jerry Sardina, who runs the Iron Mountain Public School District in Michigan, or David Munoz, the current superintendent in the Mosinee School District. They haven't indicated the board when they will make their final decision. Time for news about your money, the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update, and things are still looking good. All the Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ now up 1%. The Dow up exactly 1%, 326 points. The S&P 500 up a little more than 1%. It's up 53. And the NASDAQ up 270. That is over 2%. So good day for the markets. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit annexwealth.com. Click the Get Started button today. Taking a look at your roads, it is your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic, and we're starting to see some more slowdowns a little bit. 41 coming out of the Zoo interchange is slow. That looks like the major thing there. But everything else is generally looking okay. Looks pretty good through the stadium. That's a trouble spot. No accidents up on the board. Things are looking okay. Also, there is a bit of a slowdown around Shorewood on 43.
Traffic is sponsored by Hall Mazda Milwaukee. Visit hallmazdamilwaukee.com.
While you're navigating the roads as quickly and safely as possible, if you see something we should know about, call the WTMJ Hall Mazda Traffic Tip Line at 414-238-9329.
Time for the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Sunny skies today, a high of 62. Mainly clear skies tonight, a low of 46. Saturday, mostly sunny and warmer, a high of 67. Sunday, we're just going to have beautiful sunshine all day, a high of 70. Monday continues to be warm and sunny, a high of 72. And Tuesday, mostly sunny, a high all the way up to 74. Right now in downtown Milwaukee, it is 59 degrees. I'm Wyatt Barmore-Pooley, Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 1:34.
I'm Jeff Wagner. We do this in advance of every Memorial Day. Your chance to remember and recognize a close friend, a family member who is no longer with us, who served the country. I understand that's a little bit broader than the definition of Memorial Day, but nevertheless, I think it's appropriate. 414-855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. We'll do this for at least one more segment.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Welcome back to Ask Hasslis.
When you say Hasslis Mattress doesn't have employees, it's not a trick just so you can jump out and yell, surprise, right?
No.
So, no surprises?
Well, now through Monday, get a $200 credit on your new Sealy Posturepedic or Beaterest mattress just for shopping local.
I'm feeling faint.
Free next day delivery, too. Surprise! Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you or shop online at Hasslis.com.
Back by popular demand, head to the HD Museum campus Thursday, June 1st through Sunday, June 4th for the HD Factory Outlet Summer Sale on discontinued Harley-Davidson motor clothes, merchandise, and select officially licensed products. Don't miss this chance to shop over 4,000 items, including t-shirts, sweatshirts, outerwear, hats, gloves, leather jackets, and so much more. While supplies last, the HD Factory Outlet at the Harley-Davidson Museum is your destination for discontinued HD merchandise.
With inflation affecting so many families, the super affordable Mine Shaft restaurant in Hartford is better than ever. WTMJ's John Mercure here. I love the Mine Shaft restaurant. It's been locally family-owned for over 46 years. It's a Fish Fry Friday. The all-you-can-eat codfish fry is just $9.99. Most fish fries at other restaurants, $16 or so. Maybe more. At $9.99, this is the best fish fry value anywhere. The Mine Shaft desserts are all buy one, get one free. That chocolate cake is the best. Get some ice cream with it. The Saturday prime rib dinner is under $25. The Sunday brunch is all you can eat and only $14.99. And the breakfast, they're huge. $8.99 or less. It's also big value. The super affordable Mine Shaft restaurant right there on beautiful Main Street in downtown Hartford or in Oshkosh, easy to get to right off the interstate. Both locations, tons of seating, tons of close parking. Reserve your table for the $9.99 fish fry today. MineshaftRestaurant.com.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. We do this in advance of Memorial Day every year. Remembrances, recognitions of people close to you, relatives, people you'd like to recognize who are no longer with us, who served our country. Jeff, I'd like to recognize my dad, William Eugene Marchese, Navy, served in Truk. It's in the Central Pacific. It's an atoll, sort of by New Guinea. And he was at Pearl Harbor at the end of World War II. Jeff, I'd like to recognize my deceased father, George, who served in the Navy during the Korean War, and my deceased father-in-law, John, who served in the Army during the Korean War as well. Ken in Heartland says, I'd like to recognize my previous roommate, Raymond, who passed away on January 3rd, 2023. He proudly served our country in the Vietnam War. Tony in Fond du Lac. Tony, good afternoon. You're on WTMJ.
Hello, Jeff.
Hi, Tony.
I got a few here. It goes back a little bit. So let's start with my son, Andy. He was in the Iraq War, the second one. Right. Then I was in the Army. He was in the Army. My father, Marine during Vietnam. My grandfather was a combat medic in Pacific Theater during World War II, and all 7 of his brothers served in one capacity or other, whether Navy, the Air Force, or Air Corps, I should say, and the Army, or Marines. Then my great-grandfather was in World War I, and my great-great-grandfather served in the Wisconsin Regiment Yeah, Gettysburg.
What an incredible background. You come from an extended family with lots of military ties as well.
Yes, I do. Everybody in our family, for most of it, my two cousins were also in. So, yeah, I think there's maybe one or two of us that have never been in the military, but all of us have served.
Wow. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Thanks for the recognition. You were talking about Gettysburg. One of the things I always, if you ever have a chance to go to Gettysburg, do it. I mean, just do it. It's amazing. And one of the things that I always recommend, if you're going to go visit sites of battles, to the extent you can, I recommend you go at the time of year when the battle was being fought. Gettysburg was fought at the very end of June and early July, 1863. And just because when you're there at the time of year when the battle was fought, you get, I think, a sense of what the terrain, I guess you always see what the terrain was like, but what the weather would have been like at the time, and you can see, the trees were budding or the trees weren't budding or whatever. It's just, it's amazing, and I'm kind of a student of this, and I enjoy, as a fan of history, I enjoy going to some of the different battlefields and locations, but I've always found it to be even more meaningful if you go at the time of year that the battle was fought, because it gives you a different perspective, or at least you could see what people went through. Let's talk to Nancy in Franklin. Nancy, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And,
hello.
Yeah, hello. And who would you like to recognize?
My dad. He served in Korea, and his name was Eugene Albee. And he died when he was 88 years old in 2014. My only regret is that I didn't get him on one of the honor flights that they've been having. He was ahead of, it wasn't Korean War vet time. They were only taking, I thought it was World War I and II.
Right.
I think.
Right.
So I want to recognize my dad.
Thank you very much for the call, Nancy. We appreciate it. Jeff, let's see. My dad served in Europe in World War II. At the end of the war, he escorted German prisoners of war to the Nuremberg trials. He passed away in 1976. One of our other listeners just sent me a series of photographs of their father in World War II, who was present when a number of German generals surrendered, and he took pictures. She just texted me a bunch of the pictures. It's just. I'm learning a lot from this segment as well. Jeff, I want to recognize my dear father who passed away about 12 years ago, who served in the South Pacific conflict. He was on an aircraft carrier, but I can't remember of the name, but he flew a plane called the Blue Grumman. My sister knows the name of the carrier. For some reason, the name escapes me at the moment. Jeff, I want to recognize my father, his two brothers, and one sister who passed away at 101 this week, who all served in World War II. Wow. Jeff, I've listened to this segment over the years. This year, it's my turn to tell you about my dad, Roland Tess, who passed away 5 months ago. He was in Patton's Third Army. Imagine his mom praying that he and his three brothers would come back home safely after all of them were serving at the same time. Yes, they all made it back. I will miss seeing my dad salute the flag as it goes past this year's Memorial Day Parade. And she sends a little heart, and I'll send that heart right back to you. Jeff, I want to recognize my dad, Quentin Pierquet, and his 8 brothers. All served and all are no longer with us. Jeff, I want to recognize my dad, Jack Radke. He had my dad, Jack Radke, had an uncle signed for him at age 17. He was a World War II Marine, 3rd Division. He fought on Iwo Jima and watched the flag go up on Mount Suribachi. He passed in 2008. I miss him every day. Semper Fi. Yeah. Let's talk to Steve in Oak Creek. Steve, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'd like to honor my father, Francis I. King. He flew in World War II, U.S. Army Air Corps, B-17 pilot, flew with the 15th Air Force 414 Squadron out of Foggia, Italy, earned the Distinguished Flying Cross and the Air Medal, had 16 missions as co-pilot, 17 as pilot, was there from September of 44 through the duration. He passed away in 2014 at age 91. While he was flying, he was 22 years old.
So he flew between co-pilot and pilot. He flew, by my count, about 33 missions. You said 16 and 17. He flew 33 missions?
Correct.
Wow. Because that was very dangerous. That was very, very hazardous duty, flying in those planes. 33 missions just sounds incredible to me.
Yeah, he earned a Distinguished Flying Cross, bringing back a crippled aircraft from a bombing mission. They had lost their number three engine on the right wing to flak.
Right.
A navigator in the front of the nose of the plane had been wounded, but they managed to bring the plane back, and that's the mission he got the Distinguished Flying Cross for.
Wow. Thanks for the call, Steve. What great stories. Let's talk to Mike in Oconomowoc. Mike, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Hi, Dave. Jeff. I'd like to honor my dad and my father-in-law, who both were on. My wife and I took them both on the same honor flight in 2012. My dad, John Nelson, was a first-class radio man in the Navy, and my father-in-law was in the Army at the Battle of the Bulge. And my dad passed away in 2014 at age of 93, and my father-in-law passed away in 2017 at the age of 94. Neither of them really wanted to go on the honor flight at first, but because they didn't feel they deserved it. But both of them were so overwhelmed of what a great trip it was to do this for them.
Wow. Thanks for the call. I preached the Battle of the Bulge. I was, it would have been a week ago Monday, and it is my great pleasure every year for Armed Services Week, which was last week. So it was Monday, May 15th, and I MC their kickoff banquet that they have at the Wisconsin Club, and it's always 450 people, and it's an amazing experience. But I had a chance to talk to some of the founders of the deans, who are some of the two of the founders of the honor flight, and now they're sort of advisors. But it's just what a great concept that entire thing was, and I know it's been just so meaningful for people. Jeff, I'd like to recognize my cousin Lawrence Wagalski of Nisita, who was our family war hero, and the torture he endured as a World War II Japanese POW. I can't talk about it without crying. When he returned home, he weighed 80 pounds. He was being interviewed, and the military was coaching him to play down about his horrible experience. He was a wonderful person. He was a true war hero. Jeff, I want to honor my dad, Corporal John Swakowski, who fought at the Battle of the Bulge and was captured January 28th, 1945, as Allied forces advanced into Luxembourg. He spent several months at Stalag 9B in Bad Orb, Germany. On Easter Sunday, April 1st, 1945, the German guards assembled Allied prisoners in a field in front of machine guns. Before they could execute them, another German soldier ran up to the machine gun and told them that American tanks were breaking through the front gate. Thankfully, they ran for their lives instead of taking the lives of prisoners. Wow. It was Patton's Third Army tanks that saved the day. My dad never talked about the war. I only know the story from my grandmother, who overheard him on a phone call with a friend, also confirmed by a platoon mate whose nephew researched his regiment. The uncle of the author of Before Memories Fade was killed at the same site my dad was captured. Grateful every day here and proud to have followed in his footsteps. Wow. What a story. Can you imagine? Okay, you're captured as a prisoner of war, and it appears that you're going to be executed. And I mean, that's the type of thing that if you see it in a movie, you go, man, that stuff, that could not have happened. And yet it did. Boy, so many of you are sending me pictures of your parents or your friends or whatever. Jeff, after World War II, my dad stayed in Europe with the Army. Orphan kids roamed the streets of Paris, always looking for food and treats. GIs got ration packages, including chewing gum. The GIs shared their rations, so they kind of adopted what they'd call gum chum. This picture is my dad with his gum chum. Wow. My dad, Hank, passed away 5 years ago, served in the Korean War, was on Pork Chop Hill, where half of his platoon died on that hill. Yeah, they made a movie, Pork Chop Hill. I remember that. But wow, I mean, I just saw it in the movies. Jeff, I'd like to recognize Matt Rittner, 2 tours in Iraq with the Marines, then killed in the line of duty as an MPD tactical officer. Yes, that's from East Side Brian. Jeff, I'd like to honor my father, James, who served in the Navy during the Korean War on the USS Champlain. He passed away in 2001. Wow. Let's talk to, Scott in South Milwaukee. Scott, you're on WTMJ.
Hi, good afternoon, Jeff. I would like to honor my father, Tom Clemens. He served in Vietnam, 1968 to 1969, as he would always, as basically the only details that he would tell us was that number one was that when he received his invitation from LBJ, he stood up and did his national service, and that the time that he was in Vietnam was when I'll just say fill in the blank broke loose.
Yep.
Well, within the past year, some of his platoon mate, he was in the 42nd Artillery. Within the past year, one of his platoon mates reached out, was trying to get in contact with him, and he found my information online. So he contacted me, and then him and I just struck up a conversation. I filled him in on that he had passed away in 2009 and gave him other details. Well, then this individual told me he's like, well, I have some other people that I want you to talk to. So this guy set up a conference call with me, him, and about 8 other people who were in this platoon, and the one individual were told they all just said glaring things about him and how great he was and the valor that he showed, especially during one specific firefight where they lost 4 people in their unit, and they talked about his valor and courageousness and what my father did to prevent other soldiers from being killed and or wounded during the specific firefight.
It's amazing. Scott, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm kind of up against the clock, but wow, what a story. Thanks for the call. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back to wrap this segment up in just a moment.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
On a hot summer day, when I walk through that door, I want to feel that cold air, because we both know that is a great feeling. This is Anthony Zanevsky with Quality Heating. There's going to be a day when that AC of yours just isn't cranking like it used to. And that's when you want someone there fast, fixing it right the first time, because they've been doing it a long time. 20 service techs with over 20 years of experience. When you're in an AC emergency, see the man in the red van.
Quality Heating, Quality Heating.
The true variable speed capacity compressor on the Armstrong Air Pro Series is for the AC fanatic. Rather than running at 1 or even 2 speeds, this compressor changes its speed in small, precise increments and adjusts cooling up and down like a dimmer switch. So temperatures are held exactly where you want them, even in extremely hot weather. If you're an AC fanatic, this is the unit you want.
You gotta see the man in the red van. Quality Heating, Quality Heating. Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Your pain is likely due to a wear and tear process called osteoarthritis. Now, when you combine that with being a little overweight or not being as active as you'd like to be, you get into a downward pain spiral. At Rejuvenex, we control pain by precisely targeting and treating the areas where your pain lives, like shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees, with our powerful FDA-approved treatments that cushion and lubricate the affected areas to deliver long-lasting pain relief. Now, like maintenance on a car, to maintain your relief, our team of physicians will follow up with you roughly every 6 to 18 months. My name is Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Pain Clinics. Rejuvenex is in-network with most major insurance plans, including Medicare and Medicaid. We can alleviate your pain, and that'll rejuvenate your life. It's pain relief. Really.
Rejuvenex. Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenex.com to request your appointment.
The new Raid Essentials Light Trap uses light to attract, then trap flying insects like fruit flies and mosquitoes.
For insecticide protection that's people and pet friendly, get new Raid Essential Light Trap.
Gruber Law Offices, a proud partner of your Milwaukee Brewers.
What if you could build a six-figure retirement income with almost half the money saved? You heard that right. Get a discount on your retirement, creating a six-figure income with 40% less than traditional 401ks and mutual funds. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, best-selling author and executive producer of a new Hollywood documentary called The Baby Boomer Dilemma. In this film, economists and Nobel Prize-winning PhDs from Wharton, MIT, and Stanford share a strange concept I call the retirement discount. It gives you more retirement income with the same dollar saved, and your money is never at risk if the market crashes. That's right. If the market crashes 30%, you lose nothing. Even people who are on track have shifted money to this new strategy because it increases their retirement income or can allow them to stop working years sooner. So if you are over 50 and want a bigger, better retirement with less money, call to get a free copy of this brand new movie, 1-800-578-3535. This is a $30 value, but when you call today, you get it completely free, plus 2 hours of bonus behind-the-scenes footage. No credit card required. Call right now. 1-800-578-3535. That's 1-800-578-3535. Again, 1-800-578-3535.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
I wish I had time to read all the different texts that we're getting. Here's one. Jeff, my dad was World War II, passed away at 97 last year. I did go with him on an honor flight 4 years ago. My brother and my mom had 4 brothers at the same time in World War II. One Battle of the Bulge. Such heroes. Most of the World War II stories were told at their funerals. A reminder. I'm glad the emailer told me this. The War Memorial Center has 15,000 flags out at Veterans Park through the weekend. Ceremony is going to be held Monday at 6 p.m. Hope everybody comes down and pays tribute. Yeah. Troy in Delavan. Troy, thanks for waiting. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jeff. How are you?
I am well, thank you. Who would you like to recognize?
Both my grandfathers. My paternal grandfather was wounded at the Battle of the Bulge. His name is Lawrence Oren. My maternal grandfather, H.J. Tiffany, was wounded at Pearl Harbor, and my father was drafted in '67. I was born in '68 at Fort Carson, Colorado Hospital while he was serving his country at that time.
Wow. Just amazing. Battle of the Bulge. Well, Jeff, I'd like to extend thanks to Thomas Knuth, K-N-U-T-H, good friend to my husband and myself. He was Special Forces in Vietnam and a former prisoner of war. He was integral in the founding of Guitars for Vets. He's now in palliative care at the VA. So many great ones, and I'm sorry we can't get to everybody. Charlie, producer Charlie, I want to give you the last word. You wanted to do a recognition, so you've been answering all the phone calls and screening stuff. Your recognition is?
For my grandfather, Sylvester Kocher, who was in the Pacific during World War II. He passed away of Alzheimer's in 2007, and I still have a lot of his old stuff, and I'm just very thankful for what he did in that war.
Okay. So, again, this is... Look, it is Memorial Day weekend. It is the unofficial start of summer. I understand that. We've all got things. It looks like it's going to be a great weekend weather-wise, and we've all got things that we're going to be doing and cookouts and stuff like that. I just always do encourage people to take a moment and remember what the real purpose of this is. It's something beyond just a 3-day weekend. It's to remember people who died in the service of our country. But I think it's okay if you extend that and just remember people who are no longer with us who served our country. I'm always proud of my wife, but I was so proud of my wife. This morning, she went out. We have flags, and she put flags up, like in the flower beds and things like that. And it's just a little thing to do to, again, recognize the people who have served and in this case made the ultimate sacrifice so we can enjoy the freedoms that we enjoy. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Stay tuned. Jeff Wagner returns after this on WTMJ. The Brewers Radio Network's Lane Grindle sees it all from the broadcast booth.
Down the right field line, this is up and it is going to fly out of here.
But what's he like off the air?
It's 2023. It's the year of the cheesehead.
Lane Grindle joins Wisconsin's afternoon news every Monday during the Brewers 2023 campaign.
There'd be nothing better in my life than to be the brother of Lane Grindle.
I did not have a brother, so, John, we can make honorary brothers.
Right here on the home of the Brewers, WTMJ. Milwaukee.
The Simply Yours sofa from Penny Mustard is like a choose-your-own-adventure book.
Because you choose your own features.
Arm style, cushions, back, legs, finish, fabric, color, everything.
If you choose to slay the dragon, turn to page 34.
But to choose a sofa that's the envy of all your friends, turn to Penny Mustard.
The Simply Yours sofa, starting at $46 a month, with just 1 penny down and no interest until May of 2027, through June 4th at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Give future generations a connection to their past by securing cemetery property today. Now is always the best time to buy cemetery property, because purchasing today is your best protection against rising prices and limited inventory. Whether you choose burial or cremation, we have options for every belief at any budget. Speak with us today about available financing and pricing options. We're Forest Hill Memorial Park. Find us at dignitymemorial.com.
3301 East Forest Hill Avenue, Oak Creek, Wisconsin, 53154.
Ready to downsize and move from your longtime home? Call Bruce's team today. Their senior real estate specialist will guide you every step of the way. Go from overwhelmed to I can do this. 262-242-6177. Bruce'sTeam.com.
The only diamond more valuable than colorless
is the diamond that is colorful.
Pink, yellow, and blue.
In 2016, Christie's auction house sold a 14-karat blue diamond for $56 million.
That's $4 million a carat.
In 2022, Sotheby's auction house sold an 11-karat pink diamond for $57 million.
That's more than $5 million a carat.
These diamonds were born when the Earth was born.
They come from the heart of the Earth.
But now there are also pink, yellow, and blue diamonds that were born when you were falling in love.
These created diamonds come from the fiery heart of a miniature sun blazing inside a plasma chamber.
Hot, hot, hot.
Pink, yellow, and blue.
Your colorful 1-carat wonder awaits you for $12,000 or less.
Your colorful 3/4 carat miracle awaits you for $8,000 or less.
Get them while you can.
Welcome to Kessler's.
To find the Kessler's nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
Advent founder, Dr. Madan Kandula.
If you were formerly breathing properly and we just plugged your nose up, you're not going to like it. You're not going to like it for a few minutes. You're not going to like it for an hour. You wouldn't stand it for a day. If we're talking weeks, you're going to be clawing at the walls to get that thing off. And if we're talking months to years to decades, many of our patients are basically walking around with clothespins on their nose and they don't know any difference. They've never experienced what life is supposed to be like when you breathe properly, and so for them, they feel like it's normal. It should be no surprise that many of the folks that we treat have downstream conditions. So if somebody's nose isn't working properly, if somebody's throat isn't working properly, they're not breathing properly. And when you don't breathe properly, it creates problems for your body.
When you breathe well, you live better. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment today.
Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
What's better than the look and feel of real leather? The amazing prices at Steinhafels.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. Keeping you informed, keeping you safe, keeping you engaged and entertained. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
At 2 o'clock, it is 59 degrees, sunny skies, and a high of 62 today. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Wyatt Barmore Pooley. Gun violence rearing its ugly head at the start of the long holiday weekend.
4 women, all between the ages of 16 and 19, injured after shots rang out near Milwaukee's Washington Park neighborhood overnight. Milwaukee police say that shooting happened near 38th and Walnut just after midnight. Police say 2 of the victims were 19 years old, another an 18-year-old woman, and a 16-year-old girl. Police say they are searching for unknown suspects, are also looking for any information regarding the moments leading up to that shooting. To date, Milwaukee police have recorded 58 homicides since January 1. That is about 24 fewer than at this time last year, though 9 of those homicides were children under the age of 18. Mike Spalding, WTMJ News.
A 17-year-old has been charged in connection with the death of her 14-year-old sister after a rollover crash on 794 in Cudahy. TMJ4 News reporting that Zania Spadaro was charged with 1 felony count of knowingly operating a motor vehicle without a valid license, causing death. Her 14-year-old sister Zamari was killed during the high-speed rollover crash on Sunday. The 17-year-old admitted to not having a driver's license. Her sister was not wearing a seatbelt during the accident. 2 other passengers in the crash sustained minor injuries. It's not just airports that are seeing an uptick in traffic this holiday weekend. Your highways and byways will be busier than normal as well. TMJ4's Elaine Rojas Castillo has more.
This could be one of the busiest road traveling holidays that we've seen in quite some time. And of course, if you're planning on hitting the road, patience is key. AAA says that travelers are expected to hit the roads in droves, with just over 800,000 Wisconsinites traveling at least 50 miles from home this weekend, with 720,000 of them expected to drive. That's almost 40,000 more than this time last year.
And it is Memorial Day weekend, but every day is Memorial Day. For one group of mothers in Wisconsin, the Wisconsin chapter of American Gold Star Mothers is a support group that gives mothers a place to grieve together and honor their children.
Kay Olson was serving in the Army herself when she lost her son Andy in Iraq. Between herself, her son, and her husband, the family has 74 years of service.
When he was killed, there was 10 Marines killed and 11 injured that day. It was a big group of Marines that was taken.
Olson is now president of the Wisconsin chapter of American Gold Star Mothers, helping support other moms who have lost a child in the line of duty.
We know what they're going through. We are there, and if we don't or can't help support them, we can get them in the right direction where they can.
Jessica Gatso, WTMJ News.
Sports, traffic, and weather coming up next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News, time 2:05.
For the last 16 years, we've been hosting private tours throughout the city's most delicious eateries, iconic breweries, and cultural neighborhoods. I'm Teresa from Milwaukee Food and City Tours. Let us plan your next team outing on our Brady Street Lunch Tour. Kick off your besties bachelorette weekend with a Bloody Mary brunch or on our super fun Tacos and Tequila Tour. And celebrate your next birthday on our famous Pizza Bus Tour. Schedule your next outing with a private bus or walking tour at MilwaukeeFoodTours.com.
May is here, and as a Wisconsinite, you know that marks the start of sun, warmth, and joy. So when the rubber meets the road, you better be ready for the changing weather and adventures that may lie ahead. This is Jim Griffin. We have you covered with the marvelous service specials. We'll change your oil, inspect and rotate your tires, check the battery and air filter, give it a complete multi-point inspection, check your AC or your heat, and even change your wiper blades, all for $129.95. Good at all 5 Griffin dealerships.
Doesn't it seem like you never have anything to wear? That's why I shop St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores. Whether it's a designer top, jeans, an adorable skirt, or cute accessories, I always seem to find something I like. And at prices I love. Gently used women's clothing and accessories for far less than you thought possible. At St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield and 23rd and Lincoln in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Drive safely, Wisconsin. Highway workers are out on the road. They do it to better serve you. And just like you, they want to get home safely at the end of a hard day's work. When driving, all of us have a chance to set the right example. Be patient. Put down the phone. Never text and drive. Slow down and move over if possible to give workers a little extra room. Work zone safety. It's everyone's responsibility.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin DOT.
After taking 2 of 3 against the Astros in Milwaukee, the Brewers dropped the series opener against the Giants on Thursday night. They'll look to rebound tonight in Game 2 with Freddie Peralta on the mound. Coverage gets underway at 6:05 on WTMJ. In the NBA, it's the Heat and Celtics. Tomorrow night, Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. If the Heat win, they advance to the NBA Finals to take on the Denver Nuggets. And Block 1 of organized team activities for the Packers is in the books. Block 2 begins on May 30th. Greg Metz, WTMJ Sports.
Taking a look at your roads, it is your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. We got a disabled vehicle on 4145 northbound at the ramp from Bluemont Road. That is blocking the right lane. That just reported a couple of minutes ago. That is on 4145 northbound. We were seeing some slowdowns already on that. It's a couple of minutes. It'll take you about 16 minutes from the zoo to Highway Q. That's going to be more with that disabled vehicle. Also a little bit slow on 41 northbound, 43 northbound, I should say. From downtown to Brown Deer Road, that'll take you 13 minutes. That's a 2-minute delay. Everything else is looking good.
Traffic is brought to you by the Harley-Davidson Museum. Head to the HD Museum campus Thursday, June 1st through Sunday, June 4th for the HD Factory Outlet Summer Sale on discontinued Harley-Davidson motor clothes, merchandise, and select officially licensed products.
Time for the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Sunny skies today, a high of 62. Mainly clear tonight, a low of 46. Saturday, mostly sunny and warmer, a high of 67. Sunday, beautiful sunshine, a high of 70. Monday, warm and sunny, a high of 72. And on Tuesday, mostly sunny, a high of 74 degrees. Right now in Madison, it's 73. In Green Bay, it's 73. In Waukesha, it's 68. And in Milwaukee, it is 60 degrees. I'm Wyatt Barmore-Pooley, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 2:09.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome back. Wyatt, did you drive? Not you drive a car. Did you drive into work today?
I did drive into work today.
What time did you get here?
About 11:55.
Okay, so about a little before noon. I got here a little bit before that, obviously. The parking garage was, I won't say it was empty. I would say it was half full. Would that be about your assessment?
I didn't make it very far up. I parked on the ramp. The third space was open, and I pounced on it immediately.
Got it. Well, see, you can tell it is a Friday before a 3-day weekend. Now, Fridays in general, like where we park, we're located at the Avenue, the former Grand Avenue, and there's like a 5-story parking garage that we go in. I happen to, one of all the big challenges is trying to, at least especially as you get older, is remember where you put your car on a different, because you can park on the going up side, on the downside. So what I now do is I have a location that I go to every day where I have to walk a little bit farther, but it's kind of out of the way, and I know there's always going to be spaces. So I never have to think, where did I park the car? So, I mean, I was driving pretty much through the parking garage. There's like especially as you get above the third floor, there's like nobody here. I mean, people have started their holiday weekend early.
Yeah, not us. We're still in the studio.
We are still here, absolutely, and I'm here for another hour. If you follow me on Twitter, we're not going to open up the phone lines to discuss it because we're kind of gradually doing some lighter stuff as we get into the weekend. But Congressman Glenn Grothman in the news, and this story was just posted on JS Online. I have a link to it. Here's the headline. Glenn Grothman says it is almost impossible for straight white men to become federal judges under Biden. Now, the way this works, for people who wonder, how do you get to be a federal judge? The president appoints you, and then you are confirmed by the Senate. Now, in different states, they do it different ways. Sometimes they have nominating commissions that recommend names, but it goes through the Senate. And ultimately, it's a recommendation by the home state senator if there is a judicial vacancy that comes up. I was caught about this. So here's what Grothman says. Apparently, for his first 2 years, President Biden had appointed 97 federal judges. This is quoting Grothman. Of the 97 federal judges, I was expecting maybe 25 or 30 were white guys because I know President Biden wasn't heavy on appointing white guys. 5 of the 97 judges were white guys. Of those, 2 were gay. So, this is all quoting Representative Grothman. So, almost impossible for a white guy who's not gay, apparently, to get appointed here. Now, predictably, this creates all sorts of outrage about this. State senator calling Grothman a racist, saying, I can't believe that he said this, but truly the saddest part of his comment is that he believes it. Because Biden is somehow a president who believes in diversity and inclusion that somehow makes it unfair for white men. So, okay, so the Journal-Sentinel, they do the study. So here's the deal. Of the judges appointed during Biden's first 2 years in office, 75% were women. So 3/4 of the appointment were women, 67% were people of color, and 47% were women of color. Now, that doesn't address directly what Grothman's saying, but it doesn't appear that those numbers are out of line. So let's assume that Grothman's numbers are correct, 97 nominees, and of the nominees, only 5 of the judges were white men, and of those 2 were gay. So that would mean 3 of 97 were straight white men. And Grothman's comment is, it's almost impossible for straight white men to become federal judges under Biden. Now, you can have this discussion of, well, the majority of the federal bench is white men, so this is the effort to try to make it more diverse, et cetera, et cetera. And that's a fair, I guess, conversation to have. But it is interesting to me that at least if these numbers appear to be correct, that Grothman is correct when he says it's almost impossible that the Biden administration is not appointing straight white men. If the numbers are correct, and I have no way of knowing it, but it appears that if the numbers are correct, that only 3 of 97 federal judicial appointees were straight white men, I think Grothman is correct when he says that it's almost impossible for straight white men to get appointed in the Biden administration. Now, again, you can argue that's a good thing that we're doing that, but it does appear that he's correct. I sent out a link to this story on Twitter, which I know will generate a lot of response over the weekend. But my question was, if this statement is accurate, if it's accurate, should we be more outraged that it's happening or that Representative Grothman had the audacity to point it out? Just asking. So you can check it out and decide for yourself. But it does appear that President Biden's made a huge commitment to diversity, and as part of that diversity, that if you're a straight white male, if these numbers are correct and you want to be on the federal bench, it's just not happening. And again, you can argue whether that's a good thing or not, but it does appear to be the facts, again, assuming that these numbers are correct. All right, I want to switch gears on this. As I was saying earlier, I was at this. It was an open house. The new Right Height facility was built in Milwaukee, and it's just a spectacular facility. But my wife and I were there, and whenever you travel with my wife, I become Mr. Fran because she, and I'm cool with that. I'm fine because she for 30 years on the North Shore ran a very, very popular restaurant. And really touched a lot of people's lives, and people will come up to us and they'll go, Fran, nice to see you. It's great. We miss you so much. And hi, Jeff, listen to the show all the time. And I'm okay with that. It's okay, and it's very flattering. But it demonstrates to me how important like dining and things like that are in people's lives, to the fact that no matter where we go, people remember her for the restaurant that she ran and all the good times they had over all those different years. And it's actually, then people will say, you guys should reopen it, to which my response is no, that's not where we are in life anymore. But it was, it's actually, again, it just underscores how important places are and how once restaurants disappear, how much we miss them. There was a story in the local newspaper earlier this week talking about Milwaukee restaurants that are gone but not forgotten. And they range from, I don't know, Carl Roch's, Butch's Old Casino Steakhouse, the Boulevard Inn, some which were around forever, others which had that weren't there as long. Crazy Water is one, John Hawk's Pub, John Ernst Cafe, the Watts Tea Shop. It goes on and on and on. Milwaukee Ale House, all these places that all of us used to love to go to in this area that you always thought were going to be there forever, and they're not. All right, before Pop Culture Corner, which is going to be something different, I thought this would be a little fun walk down memory lane to do on the Friday before Memorial Day. Our number, 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Let's talk gone but not forgotten, a local restaurant that you just really, really miss that is no longer in operation. 855-616-1620. We discuss in just a moment.
There are heroes among us who run toward danger rather than away from it. We call them first responders. This is Steve Scafidi, proud to tell you WTMJ is partnering with Educators Credit Union to honor police officers, firefighters, and countless others who work every day to protect our families and loved ones. Tune in all this week as we recognize these heroes during Salute to Service Month.
We're just regular people just like everybody else, and we truly want to make a positive impact.
5 special nominees will share their incredible stories during my show.
Business owners, you feeling the pressures of growing your business? It's tough to maintain momentum and still keep employees engaged. Well, Insperity can help. They put over 35 years of HR experience to work, helping you with hiring, with training, with HR administration and compliance, all while giving your employees competitive benefit options. When your people thrive, your business can adapt and prosper. With Insperity, nothing seems impossible. Scalable HR, employee benefits, HR technology, Insperity, HR that makes a difference.
Hey, boaters! This is Dave Dorrell from Kendor Marine. And hey, boaters love shopping here. How do I know? Well, most times it's because they tell me, Dave, I love shopping here. But other times it's because they tell you. If you need a reason to come here, just check out our online reviews. They tell the whole story. Boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th Orion Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water. Hey, boaters!
At Kendor Marine, we have everything you could want, think of, or wish for your boat. We're committed to making sure you always have a place to fulfill every boating need that you have. And if you ask around, you'll find out our prices always beat the other guys. This is Dave Dorrell from Kendor Marine. Boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th Orion Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
Experience, knowledge, results. That's what really matters when you need help after a serious truck accident. You'll need a lawyer experienced in fighting and winning for people just like you. Gruber Law Offices has the resources, strong track record of success, and a team of experienced lawyers to take care of your needs. We've successfully helped people injured in big truck accidents for more than 35 years. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. We're talking about restaurants, gone but not forgotten. Journal Sentinel had a big piece. It was kind of interesting. It was a walk down memory lane, and I think there's a lot of other places that are out there. Jeff, for me, La Casita on Farwell and Lafayette. Yes, Jeff, every time I pass by the sign that's still there, I'm missing the Acapulco Mexican restaurant on 6th and National. Jeff, for me, it's Maria's Pizza. I also miss Dutchland Dairy. Absolutely. Jeff in Genesee. Jeff, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jeff. Happy Memorial Day weekend.
Same to you, sir.
Dos Banditos, and you have to remember that because it was right in Glendale, just on North Green Bay Road.
Right across from Johnson Controls. Yeah, just kind of right across from Johnson Controls there. Yep. Yes.
It was the first job I ever had. Started as a busboy there, and that was 40 years ago.
Okay. What I think most people would remember about Dos Banditos would be the really just kick-butt margaritas that they served.
100%. That's awesome. They made them in 5-gallon buckets, and they had 10 of them behind the bar. So it was a great place. I'll never forget it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
No, thanks for the call. Yeah, here's my Dos Banditos story, and it's a scary true story. I remember there were 4 of us there. I was with my late wife, Sue, and we were with a couple of our friends from law school, Dean and Kathy, and they served you chips. And I never forget this. One of the chips got caught in my throat. I've never had this happen before or since, but I was like choking, and it was just the scariest thing because you can't speak. Everybody else is talking, and they're just jabbering on, and I'm like, ugh, ugh, ugh. And it was dislodged, but it was just incredibly scary. But so that's my recollection of Dos Banditos. But yeah, if you grew up on the North Shore, you hung out there. Karen in Wheaton. Karen, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Karen.
I have 2 restaurants. One is the Boulevard Inn. I had, when my late first husband and I were married, we had our wedding rehearsal dinner there, and my late father ate every lunch there almost every week.
Right.
And the other one is Borders Tea Room in the Mequon-Thiensville area.
Yeah, Boaters, absolutely. No, matter of fact, a very good friend of mine used to work at Boaters and still tells stories about like bussing tables at Boaters 50 or 60 years ago, probably 60 years ago now. Those were, thanks, those were both wonderful. The Boulevard Inn was just, it moved it moved downtown, and after it moved from like the west side, after I want to say 52nd Street, I could be wrong. After it moved, it was never quite the same. But yes, it moved back downtown. Let's talk to let's see, Al in Green Bay. Al, you're on WTMJ.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for taking the call. You might be too young for this one, but there was a restaurant on Brady Street called Beyond the Sea.
Yeah,
it was owned and operated by the Tarantino family.
Okay. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank
Frank and Tony
on
were the
it.
bartenders.
Okay.
Well, it was a seafood restaurant.
Right.
On Brady, it was there, and was at the time kind of a hot spot for seafood Italian restaurants. They had an incredible Sicilian shrimp and a mammoth sea crab, and it was like going into an Italian family for dinner. You know, it was just that kind of atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long ago that passed away, but it's been quite a while. But
yeah,
it's an experience that I'll never forget. And I'm 78 years old now, and I would go back there in a heartbeat if it would come back. So.
Yeah, isn't that? No, thanks. Isn't that the case? You feel that way about so many places. Let's see. Let me just get some text. Colts on Oakland. Yeah, I always remember Colts on Oakland, and then in the back, Comedy Sports used to do shows there. I can remember that. Jeff Boaters in Mequon for me. Yep, it was Jeff. For me, Scanda House on Highway 100 and Oklahoma. All these places. Chalet on the Lake. Yep. The English Room. Yeah, the English Room. Frenchies. Yeah, remember Frenchies. Those goes back. Nino's Steakhouses. Yes, remember Nino's Steakhouse as well. Yeah, all those places are there. Jeff, when my wife and I moved up to Cedar Grove from Milwaukee 4 years ago, we started to frequent Newport Shores in Port Washington. Really enjoyed that establishment. Unfortunately, Newport Shores is now gone. It has been replaced by condos. Yeah, I think there was talk that they were going to try to reopen it, and I don't think that they ever ended up doing that. Let's talk to Paul in Greenfield. Paul, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Jeff. How are you?
I am well, thank you. Gone but not forgotten.
The Coffee Trader on Donner Avenue.
Yep.
The Herald in the Red Carpet Hotel at the airport.
Yep.
And the English Room at the Pfister.
Yeah, all of which were great places. Herald's, here's the story. One of my very close friends in law school, his dad was a bigwig with Red Carpet Industries, and he actually ran that hotel and ran Herald. So every once in a while, I don't remember them comping us, but they used to take care of us struggling law students who had no money when we would show up there and have a really nice meal. I always remembered that.
I worked there as a busboy when I wasn't working as a bartender, and I bussed a massive event for Roger Penske and Paul Newman back when they used to
right.
compete at the Milwaukee Mile. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was it was thanks to the call, absolutely tremendous. Yeah, and again, it was like on the south side there, and I always remember Dick Richards is the guy, and Dick Richards, he went on to own the Country Springs Hotel, which is now something different. I'm forgetting the name of that right off the top of my head, but yeah, he was big with Red Carpet Industries, and they were always very, very kind to struggling law school students. I don't think we were the reasons why that went out. A number of people are mentioning Captain's Steakhouse. Yeah, Captain's. I mean, they had them all over. I lived in Juneau Village for a couple of years when I was in law school, and there was one right across the street, and then there was one at Northridge that we used to hang out at. And Captain's Steakhouse. If you remember it, in the bar they used to have this like cheese fondue, and these big like toasted crackers that you could have. It was just, you could fill up on that. You didn't need the steaks, but that was always a fun thing. It's just, I guess I always mention this because if you've got these favorite places, your Cheers, the restaurants that you love, appreciate them, because the truth of the matter is nothing is forever. Sometimes it's a situation where the owners just kind of age out of it, and they decide that, the restaurant industry is a tough business, and they just decide that it's time to move on. Other times, tastes change, all these different things. So if you've got that special restaurant, appreciate it, because you never know when it may be gone. All right, let's take a quick break. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Wisconsin Harley-Davidson is ready for summer. Are you? Join Wisconsin Harley-Davidson on May 27th for their annual honor celebration from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Enjoy a ride to place flags at the Wisconsin Memorial Cemetery and return back for a day of honoring our veterans. Not a rider? That is okay. Wisconsin Harley-Davidson will have music, food, and so much more. Like and follow Wisconsin Harley-Davidson on Facebook, Instagram, and online at wishd.com. Wisconsin Harley-Davidson, your destination dealer.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
So when you're in a pain spiral, will stem cells or bone marrow harvested from your body and then placed back into your body get you out of it? For those willing to go through a very expensive and not exactly easy process, which is not FDA approved, it might. But for those not willing to pay exorbitant amounts to go through all that, especially knowing that pain relief is not a sure thing, it's not an option. At Rejuvenex, we inject powerful, FDA-approved treatments that reduce inflammation and pain, while improving mobility in hips, shoulders, elbows, and knees. With some patients experiencing relief for greater than 2 years before repeating the process. I'm Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Pain Clinics, and we are in network with most major insurance plans, including Medicare and Medicaid. We can alleviate your pain, and that'll rejuvenate your life. It's pain relief, really.
Rejuvenex. Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenex.com to request your appointment.
What if you could build a six-figure retirement income with almost half the money saved? You heard that right. Get a discount on your retirement, creating a six-figure income with 40% less than traditional 401ks and mutual funds. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, best-selling author and executive producer of a new Hollywood documentary called The Baby Boomer Dilemma. In this film, economists and Nobel Prize-winning PhDs from Wharton, MIT, and Stanford share a strange concept I call the retirement discount. It gives you more retirement income with the same dollar saved, and your money is never at risk if the market crashes. That's right. If the market crashes 30%, you lose nothing. Even people who are on track have shifted money to this new strategy because it increases their retirement income or can allow them to stop working years sooner. So if you are over 50 and want a bigger, better retirement with less money, call to get a free copy of this brand new movie, 1-800-578-3535. This is a $30 value, but when you call today, you get it completely free, plus 2 hours of bonus behind-the-scenes footage. No credit card required. Call right now. 1-800-578-3535. That's 1-800-578-3535. Again, 1-800-578-3535.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
I admit I love these walks down memory lane. One of our emailers says Grenadiers. Yeah, the thing about Grenadiers is by the time I could finally afford to eat at Grenadiers, they closed it. You know, it was just that it. Captain's Manning's, on 76 and Good Hope, spent lots of time there. Jeff, I missed the Pig and Whistle, which was kind of kitty corner from Radio City back in the day. If you went to Shorewood High School, you hung out at the Pig and Whistle, and if you went like I did to Nicolay, you hung out at the Milky Way Drive-In, which is now Cops. So those were the things. Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips. Well, that was a fast food place. Farrell's. Yeah, my buddy Steve worked at Farrell's. One of our texters says, I miss the Embers. Yeah, that was my father's favorite hangout. My father, that's where he always wanted to go to eat. So it was always, we're going down to the Embers, and he was a regular there. Okay, lots of other great suggestions as well. But again, the bottom line is, if you got that place that you love, if it's your Cheers, just enjoy it, because you never know how long it's going to be there. 2:31, WTMJ Breaking. That's the WTMJ Breaking News time from the WTMJ Breaking News Center. Here's Wyatt Barmore Pooley.
Thanks, Jeff. A quadruple shooting on Milwaukee's northwest side, leaving 4 teens wounded. Milwaukee police say 2 19-year-olds, an 18-year-old, and a 16-year-old, all women, were shot near 38th and Walnut around midnight. They're all expected to survive. Milwaukee police have no suspects in custody, and they're investigating what led up to the shooting. A 17-year-old has been charged in connection with the death of her 14-year-old sister after a rollover crash on I-94 in Cudahy. TMJ4 News reporting that Zania Spadaro was charged with one felony count of knowingly operating a motor vehicle without a valid license, causing death. Her 14-year-old sister Zamari was killed during the high-speed crash on Sunday. 17-year-old Zania admitted to not having a driver's license. Her sister was not wearing a seatbelt during the accident. It's the 3-year anniversary of the death of George Floyd. Here in Milwaukee, local activists holding a memorial ceremony in front of a memorial painting of Floyd near North and Holton on the north side. Floyd's death sparking protests around the country and here in Milwaukee in the summer of 2020. In the wake of Floyd's killing, the Milwaukee Fire and Police Commission banning the use of police chokeholds. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. and things are still looking good. Everything in the green. Dow is up 343 points, a little over 1%. The S&P 500 up 57. That's getting closer to 1.5% up. And the NASDAQ is up 288 points. That's 2.25% up. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit annexwealth.com. Click the Get Started button today. Taking a look at your roads, it is your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. We're starting to see some slowdowns now. It's not too bad, but it's definitely a problem because of the disabled vehicle on 4145 northbound. That is at the ramp from Blue Mon Road. Off of the right lane, we're seeing backups all the way back to the Zoo interchange, all in red there. And we're still seeing some slowdowns on 43 northbound as well as it looks like Highway 190, right, as it intersects with 145. Looks like a lot of red there as well. So as we head towards the afternoon, we're starting to see some of the slowdowns.
Traffic is sponsored by TaybackAttorneys.com. Veterans benefits denied? Call Tayback for the payback.
Call Tayback for the payback. Tayback Law is the local veterans benefit claims law firm. They're now accepting Camp Lejeune claims. Call Tayback for the payback. TaybackAttorneys.com.
Time for the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Sunny skies today, a high of 62. Tonight, mainly clear, a low of 46. Warmer and mostly sunny on Saturday, a high of 67. It's going to be sunny skies on Sunday. It'll be a high of 70 degrees. Monday, warm and sunny, a high of 72. And on Tuesday, mostly sunny, a high of 74. In Madison, it is 74. In Waukesha, it's 68. And in Milwaukee, it's 59 degrees. I'm Wyatt Barmore Pooley, Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 2:34.
I'm Jeff Wagner. It's that time of the week, Pop Culture Corner, right around the corner.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this on WTMJ.
Explore outdoor living this Saturday from Eric Brown, the president of Outdoor Living Unlimited. He knows his stuff. They expand your living space with decks, patios, fire pits, even outdoor kitchens, and can show you a virtual reality of it all for starters. Outdoor Living Unlimited did a great job at the Matzik household. We love it. So listen and call Eric this Saturday on WTMJ's Fix It Show and check out OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
Thrifters can spot great deals from a mile away. And here the term great deal is an understatement. The lowest prices on men's, women's, and children's clothing. Toys, furniture, housewares, jewelry, and accessories. Bikes, books, games, and more. And every time you're here, you'll find something new. So if you're thrifty, you'll find this place is pretty nifty. St. Vincent de Paul Thrift Stores, Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, and 23rd and Lincoln in Milwaukee.
Ooh, you're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Backed by popular demand, head to the HD Museum campus Thursday, June 1st through Sunday, June 4th for the HD Factory Outlet Summer Sale on discontinued Harley-Davidson motor clothes, merchandise, and select officially licensed products. Don't miss this chance to shop over 4,000 items, including t-shirts, sweatshirts, outerwear, hats, gloves, leather jackets, and so much more. While supplies last, the HD Factory Outlet at the Harley-Davidson Museum is your destination for discontinued HD merchandise.
The workplace has changed a lot thanks to technology, and more recently, the shift to a flexible or remote schedule. Your business must adapt to maintain a great culture, attracting quality candidates and keeping them. You need Smart Spaces. The team of interior integrators at Smart Spaces brings creativity and expertise, assessing the walls, ceiling, lighting, flooring, furniture, and audiovisual systems to create places that matter in the modern world, fully functional for those in the building and for others to interact remotely. Get started today at smartspaceswi.com.
Gather round all. It's time for Wagner's Pop Culture Corner. Time to put aside the heavy lifting and have a good time at the Old National Bank talk and text line at 855-616-1620. Old National Bank. Get old. Now, here's Jeff Wagner.
Pop Culture Corner is, of course, as always, brought to you by our friends at Palermo's Pizza. We have a Palermo's Pizza prize package, which includes 2 frozen pizzas, coupon for that, and our fancy Palermo's pizza cutter and some other good stuff as well. We give it to one caller in the exclusive discretion of my producer, Charlie. At some point in time, we'll do it to the text, too, but right now we're still just doing it to callers. Okay, so Pop Culture Corner this week was actually a very easy decision. And typically what I do is I start off the week with an idea of what we're going to do, and then sometimes there's an event that happens that just kind of causes me to rethink what I want to do for Pop Culture Corner. And this week, it was the news, I believe it was on Wednesday, the passing of Tina Turner, who is, I think, referred to as the queen of rock and roll. Just an absolutely, tremendous story. Somebody who started from nothing and, became a singer and rose to fame as part of the Ike and Tina Turner Review and did all sorts of great songs like Nutbush City Limits and Proud Mary and things like that, and was trapped in this very, very abusive relationship with Ike Turner, who was just a not nice person. The story is at one point in time, so they went through the 60s and early 70s, and then their fame was starting to fade. She leaves him with like 35 cents in her pocket and a credit card that she had hidden at a Ramada Inn hotel or something. They get divorced. She spends the late 70s and early 80s sort of as a nostalgia act. She's making money by showing up and doing the Sonny and Cher show and Hollywood Squares and things like that. And then in the early to mid 1980s, she kind of reinvents herself and comes out with the album Private Dancer in 1984, which just hits big time with all the great songs. And then she spends like the next 20 years performing, stadium shows, doing shows in front of, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100,000 people. Just an incredible story. And then ends up retiring in Switzerland. She the last several years of her life, she was dealing with various health issues, and she passes away at the age of 83. But she is referred to, I think, appropriately in the minds of many people as the queen of rock and roll. Just an incredible story. In recognition of the passing of Tina Turner, I thought we would do Pop Culture Corner this week devoted to the GOAT, the greatest of all time. When it comes to musical performers, who's the GOAT? Who's the greatest of all time? If it's not Tina Turner, who is it? 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. And you can define, GOAT by however the greatest of all time by however you want to do it. Is it live performer? Is it studio albums? Is it longevity? You can define it however you want. But in your mind, who is? When it comes to musical performer, who is the greatest of all time? 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Back with your calls and texts in just a moment.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Here in Wisconsin, one name is synonymous with fantastic frozen pizza, Palermo's. For almost 60 years, Palermo's has focused on feeding Wisconsin families. And though Palermo's has grown a lot since 1964, they're still family-owned. They're still proud to call Milwaukee home. And they're still committed to making the best frozen pizza possible. From their new and improved rising crust pizzas to their guilt-free Primo thin pies, Palermo's has a delicious slice for every appetite. Find Palermo's in your local grocer's freezer food aisle. Palermo's. Flavor is our family's business.
I'm Randy Miller.
No, you're not. I'm Randy Miller, owner of All Right Home and Remodeling.
I'm DJ.
Someday you might be the owner of All Right.
Like you and Daddy?
You'll have to learn that our family business is about more than just our family.
Do it right, call All Right.
Yes, but doing things right also means giving back.
When you want it all right, you call All Right. All Right, so many miles away.
Top Fitness has the largest selection of home fitness equipment in Wisconsin. Their staff will show you why it's no secret that everyone from personal trainers to professional athletes loves Top Fitness. Their superior customer service can help you reach your fitness goals. Save big during the Top Fitness Memorial Day sale going on now. Take up to $800 off Inspire Home gyms, racks, and cages. Snag up to $1,300 off Precourt treadmills and ellipticals. Take up to $2,500 off True treadmills. Plus, save over 50% on select Spirit treadmills, ellipticals, and exercise bikes. Fitness is their passion. Top Fitness carries a full range of gear from the best brands. So if you're looking for a complete home gym design or some simple weights, a Top Fitness store is the perfect place. Also available, professional delivery, assembly, and interest-free financing. Stop by the Top Fitness Brookfield location on Blue Mound Road and online at topfitness.com. Top Fitness, your best choice in home fitness equipment.
If you're looking for the finest of furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com.
Artwork, especially original artwork, can be pricey.
But when you take it in on consignment from nice people like you who are just ready to change the look of their home, you can price it right. And you'll find a lot of it at Design Exchange. Beautiful frame pieces by a number of notable artists. And new ones pop in all the time. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. In Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Now these tend to fly off the shelves. But don't worry, because our connection supplies us with a lot of them. Vintage ceiling tiles from once great old buildings in New York City that make for ultra-unique artwork. These items are definitely hard to find from anywhere else around here. So come take a look, and you'll probably find a treasure. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. In Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
It's pop culture time. Now back to take your calls. Here's Jeff Wagner.
And Pop Culture Corner is, of course, brought to you by Palermo's Pizza. Delicious frozen pizzas made right here in Wisconsin for over 55 years. Palermo's is Wisconsin's hometown pizza. And in recognition of the passing of the queen of rock and roll, Tina Turner, we're talking about the greatest of all time. Who's the GOAT when it comes to musical performances? Jeff, for me, it would have to be Bruce Springsteen in today's day and age, but candidly, maybe Frank Sinatra in years past. Jeff, Tina Turner for me. I saw her at Madison Square Garden in the mid-'80s. It was unbelievable. Andy Warhol was on the escalator tread just ahead of me. It was a fantastic night. Jeff, as much as I'm not a fan of his music, I believe the greatest would be Elvis Presley. For me personally, my greatest of all time would have to be Garth Brooks. I went to one of his concerts, and he makes the person sitting at the very back feel like he's sitting in the front row. Not very many people can accomplish that. Jeff, for me, it's Neil Diamond for longevity. Jeff, Mr. Excitement, Jackie Wilson. Interesting. Jeff, speaking of people who passed away, if you're talking about the genre of folk music, it has to be Gordon Lightfoot. He was the greatest of all time. Jeff, for me, undoubtedly Prince. He wrote his own songs. He played multiple instruments. Jeff, how about Jimi Hendrix? Part of the thing is that you have some of these artists who just died so young, and Hendrix would be one that you wonder what as tremendous as his career was in that limited period of time, you wonder what his career would have become had he not passed away as early as he did. Jeff, for me, no question. Freddie Mercury from Queen, of course. Freddie Mercury is the GOAT. Jeff, for me, the GOAT in music is the Eagles. All great choices. 855-616-1620. Let's start with Bob in New Berlin. Bob, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Who's the GOAT?
I'd have to say Michael Jackson. I mean, from the time that guy was like 7 years old to the day he died, I mean, that guy could dance and he could sing, and he was unbelievable pretty much his whole life. Yeah, I definitely have to go with Michael Jackson. I mean, if you don't move to his music when you hear it now, I mean, I think he was definitely the GOAT.
I remember, see, the problem with Michael Jackson that a lot, I'll speak for myself, that I have is that it's tough to separate Michael Jackson, the gifted performer, from Michael Jackson, the really strange person that he was, and it's tough to make that separation. But I mean, let's put the personal stuff aside. I mean, you think back to like Thriller. I mean, I remember when Thriller came out, and just how many weeks that was on the list and stuff, and the moonwalking and all. I mean, there's no question Michael Jackson, an incredible talent. Martin in Waukesha. Martin, you're on WTMJ.
Hey, thank you for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
I have to say that Milwaukee recently, Elton John.
I remember when Elton John first came to the United States, and there was this buzz. He was playing like small clubs like the Whiskey A Go-Go and stuff on Sunset Strip in L.A., and then suddenly just kind of graduated to, it seemed like in a year or two after Goodbye Yellow Brick Road came out, he's doing stadium shows and stuff, and he's never stopped doing them.
Absolutely. I had a great time when I saw him.
Yeah, no, there's no question. An incredibly gifted performer. And, one of the things I think you have to consider is longevity. And it's why, I was saying earlier with Jimi Hendrix, and there's all sorts of other performers that you could say that about as well, that they were incredibly talented, but for whatever reason, whether it was the road or drugs or whatever, that they die early, and you kind of wonder, all right, would they have been, what would they have been if they had lived into their 30s or their 40s or their 50s? Would they have been able to sustain this? One of our texters says, Bob Dylan, how many artists have won a Nobel Prize? Yeah, Bob Dylan, I mean, again, you got the longevity. He's in the 80s and sort of reinvented. I mean, he took that folk music genre and just, busted out big time. 855-616-1620. Bill in Manitowoc. Bill, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jeff. I've got a quick one about Tina Turner.
Okay.
I saw her at Alpine Valley about 25 years ago. Outstanding show. And here's one little catch with Tina and Mick Jagger. Ike and Tina were bouncing into the big time, and they were opening show for the Rolling Stones in 1970.
Right.
And Tina came up to Jagger and basically says, "You sing very well, but you don't dance with a crumb." She told him she'll tell him how to really dance for the crowds. He got all his induction into dancing on the stage and whatever, and everybody was impressed how he got him.
Oh yeah,
and he ended up him and Keith Richards made a song for her. Brown Sugar,
right?
Brown Sugar, you dance,
right? You dance so
good.
well, right? Exactly. That, and they opened for the Stones, and one of the songs that Tina Turner, one of the Stone songs that they would do is "Honky Tonk Woman," that she would perform. Just tremendous. Let's see. Let's go to Julie in Brookfield. Julie, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing today?
I am well, thank you. The GOAT, the greatest of all time.
Oh, this is a tough one for me, but after thinking, what came to mind, I didn't overthink it, was Whitney Houston. I mean, she was a legend in her time, and in keeping with dying too soon because of the drugs and the lifestyle. When she did that Super Bowl performance, I mean, no one has ever topped that.
Yes. No, there's no question about it. I mean, Whitney Houston, just an amazing performer, and you're exactly right. I mean, that was such a surprise. I don't think anybody necessarily saw that coming, and it's been 11 years now. I mean, she passed away in 2012. I mean, it's just amazing. Yeah.
Such a tragedy.
Yeah, and you go back and you look at the movies and you look at the different songs. What's your favorite Whitney Houston song?
I Will Always Love You.
Yeah. That's when I think of Whitney Houston, I think of I Will Always Love You. Julie, you are the winner of our Palermo's Pizza prize package for today.
Wonderful.
So thank you a lot, very much. Enjoy it. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Whitney Houston, just an absolutely tremendous choice. Yeah, she was. Gosh, I mean, she 49 years old. I think 49 years old is how old she was. Ann in Pewaukee. Ann, you're on WTMJ.
Yes, hi. Thanks for taking my...
Sure.
I don't know if I could pick just one, but I would have to say one of my goats, and they're still alive, is U2.
Yeah.
Saw them in Milwaukee years ago twice. Incredible.
Yeah.
Every bit as good and electrifying as their recorded music is, and yeah, they're fantastic.
I think Joshua Tree is one of the greatest albums of all time. I mean, it's certainly when I go to listen to U2, that's where I kind of start off with.
I totally agree, and the music, I think it just kind of transcends time, and certainly their music so much, especially Joshua Tree and their early albums too, reflective of the political scene in Ireland and so forth. And Yeah.
No, great call. No, absolutely. That's outstanding. Let me see. Jeff, it's a tough one. I have to go with Paul McCartney. Incredible live performer, a catalog that goes on for miles and miles. Just look at the music history he's been part of and the band he's playing with. That's, I think you can make a strong argument for McCartney. And, who knows what John Lennon would have done had he, not been murdered back in the 1980s. Who knows what he had done? But you look at all the stuff that McCartney has accomplished, and we talk about longevity. For any of you who were with me at that Lambeau Field concert a few years ago, my gosh, the guy's 80-some, I think he was like almost 80 at the time, and he's out there and he's playing a 3-hour show with no breaks and things like that. Just amazing, absolutely amazing. Some Aretha Franklin, all these great choices. But and I think you come back and you think about Tina Turner. You can make a strong argument for Tina Turner as well. But the bottom line is that we all have different positions on this. But there can only be one greatest of all time, and you have to decide in your own mind who that is. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, let's find out what John and Sandy have on their minds on Wisconsin's Afternoon News.
Thanks for participating in this week's Pop Culture Corner. Stay tuned next week for another pop culture topic. Everything you need to know on your way home.
Milwaukee police investigating a deadly overnight crash that killed 5 people, including 3 teens and a child.
Wisconsin's Afternoon News with John McCure.
I think he behaved completely inappropriately. Should he be charged with terrorism? Absolutely not.
Sandy Max.
It says to serve and protect